Okay. Okay, good morning, everybody. Just for the recording purposes, it's August 10th, 2020, and this is the USPS Redesign Training. The first thing, I wanted to say a couple things before we get started. The book that I sent you is quite overwhelming. I realize that, being over 200 pages long, but just so you know, I wanted to give you as much information as possible. Really all that is the different menus found within Redesign. Anywho, we're recording this, thank you. Screenshots just to help you, so don't be overwhelmed by that. The other thing is that it's more of a reference book. Have an open mind. This is totally different from Classic. We know that, and it is a change for anybody. So be patient with yourself. You know, just like when you started the positions you're in now, you didn't learn a day, a week, a month. It's not gonna. This isn't gonna come quite as like that either. So I need to get to that in a minute. So okay, how do I get off of this? There you go. Shrink me down. Okay. So as you can tell, I am not a computer person. Thank God for Jerry. So I'm going to get this started and I forgot to, well, I'm on the training laptop, so I don't have all the bookmarks that I normally have. So let me find Adam Leave demo. Here we go. I'm going to get. Okay. Okay. So Union Local, did you guys hear what Missy just said about where to send redesign tickets? No. Okay. All right, so we're going to get started. So when you go to log in, we have these accounts set up for you. It most likely is going to be your first last name. And it is an external password. So there is a way for you now to reset your own passwords when the time comes. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to go over is the handout I gave you. It's just that 3 little page thing that looks like this. I just emailed this to you, Janet and Kelly, this morning. That's what I'm referring to. This shows you how to get to the SSDT's documentation. It's just little snippets. The top little snippet shows you over here the help button. You're going to click it, click documentation, and there is a link to the USPSR web guide, user guide. When it pops up, when you do this drop down menu, these are exactly what your menus look like over here. So if you're looking for something in particular, or you're not sure how to do a process, okay. Get over there, there we go. Let's see if I can move that because it's right underneath. There we go. You can go through and just click. This is everything under the core. It's everything under payments and so on and so forth. At the bottom, you will see an appendix. I only provided you with the normal payroll checklist because that is what you're going to use the most. But if you happen to need a checklist for one-time, let me stretch this out, one-time payroll processing, quarter end, special pay, fiscal year end close, these are the SSDT's generic template closeout. You can download these to your PC So if I pull up the special pay, these three little dots over here, I want to export this to Word. And the reason why I suggest Word is so you can customize it to you for your liking. Okay, so that's what I actually did for the normal payroll checklist that I sent you. I came in here and got it, and I cleaned it up better for our districts. But again, it's also in Word where you can go in and customize depending on how you run payrolls and such. Okay. Here's also at the top here, there's some navigation. Again, I emailed this as well, but just so you know, where's it at? The crosswalks. Oh, I'm sorry, the differences between classic are the crosswalks. So if I wanted to go in and see, here's where I clicked. So what you're looking for, what it was in classic, here it will tell you what it is in the redesign. Okay. And then the navigation is where you can see some little date shortcuts, little tips for you on printing, the icons, the shortcut keys, and such. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Your first menu that will appear when you first log in is called your home menu. Your home menu. This is a place that you can show all reports, and it's a quite lengthy list, but these are your most used ones that aren't really part of payroll, if you will, like a birthday report, maybe employee wages, terminated reports, and such. I will tell you that depending on your roles and privileges in the redesign, some of you may not see all of these. Treasurers, you're the only ones who are going to see the audit reports. We could give a lot of the roles and permissions to your staff, but you would have to fill out another user authorization form. It's specific. We'll help you set it, tell you what you need to write down on there, because it's not as simple as update or display for Usps or update and display for, payroll. So it's a lot more detailed than that, but we will help you. You tell us what you want, we'll help you. This is also a place that when we get over to the reports, there's a box you can check for favorites. That's something you use all the time. If that's the case, then when you only show favorites, the only reports here are going to be the reports you want, that you use the most often, and you can't customize reports. If I go too fast, slow me down, interrupt, whatever you need, just so you know. Core menu is your most used menu, one of your probably the most used next to payroll. Under there, and I'm going to go through touch base on each of them, so please stop me if you need any help. This is your ACH destination. This is like your I just lost it for your route screen. Sorry. Anytime someone's going to change direct deposit, you'll want to go in and you can filter to see if you've used this bank before. So, if I go in, I need to add Huntington. Well, right off the bat, I haven't even put the whole thing in. There's nothing that matches. You know that you're going to come in here and you're going to have to create a routing number. Set it up before you can do it for an employee. And put I highly suggest you put a description in. It is easier. If you notice that this is on a grid, all the information's on a grid. A couple things that are nice about this is completely customizable per user. So Tammy, what you might want on a grid is not what Mindy wants on her grid. So however you set up doesn't affect her. Okay, so don't think you doing that's going to affect anybody. Okay, you can add more columns. You come over here to the more. Now here in this particular one, there's not a lot you can add, but in the other areas, you will see a list of things. You can put these in order. Put them in order numerically, highest to the lowest or vice versa. You can put these in alphabetical order. All you have to do is within the box where the description is for the column, you just click that and it will put it in order. Another feature is you could do a report. And the report is what you have on that grid in the order you have it in the grid. It's not going to take it, if you didn't put in alphabetical order, it's not going to put in alphabetical order. So you have to have that set up. So, and then you could just generate the report right from the grid. Now, the first time you log in, this is going to happen to all of you. It's a pop-up blocker. Okay. Oh wait, I don't want to use Edge. I don't have a choice. Oh, there we go. And that's what the report would look like. Okay. There's also a way, a lot of the grids have mass change. In this particular one, mass change doesn't apply to this grid. Ach Source is where your bank information comes in, the district's information. You can come in here and you can do one of two things. You can either view it, you can view it or you can edit it. You won't be able to delete it if it's ever been used, which it most likely will. But when you get, say you get a new bank, you can come in here and either modify this to the new banking information, or you can create a new one. So this is where you would see your payroll ACH, and if you have HSA. Sure. Yeah. No, this is the districts. So it's only one-time thing on your ACH take file. Oh, going back, you mean? Okay, no. Well, yes, I'm sorry. If the routing number is still the same, they just changed it from Sky Bank to Huntington Bank, then you have to add it and you'll have to go in and manually change them all. Okay. Yeah, there is, and that's where the mass change comes in. That's where mass change comes in. Yeah. You're welcome. Adjustments. This is where you would come in to make adjustments for SCRS hours and days, STRS hours and days, ODJFS weeks. If you do a refund of a payroll item, deductions are known as payroll items. That's another thing that's a little different is the terminology. You will see the adjustments within this grid. Now, the blue line means it's loading, so. And here you'll see all the different adjustments that were made. You would see like say you refunded I withheld SCRS on an employee who actually has pickup. You would see $590 minus how much you're refunding, and then you're going to see the increase on the federal and state records because that was obviously tax deferred. So now they're going to show we're going to increase the amount earned, in this case, gross, taxable gross increase here. You can also do things, I'm going to show you the different things you can do. Here's the list of the different adjustments you can do. So if you have life insurance, you didn't catch it through a payroll, and let's see, dependent care, third party. There's a lot of different, here's the board's amount of a payroll item. Okay, Emis information, health reimbursement. Down here, this is something they just added within, I think they did this by this last December's release. This is new. So you don't want it to change, you only want to change the month to date. You don't want to change anything else. I can't see that happening, but you know what you do better than I do. So you would select the ones that are affected by this adjustment. Attendance, this is where you can come in and do attendance. This is like your attend screen. You can either create here, where you'll find your individual employee, the compensation record that you're paying on, the date of attendance, the length. attendance, daily, hourly, category. Subcategory isn't required. You can do that. The appointment type, you want to leave the pay date blank, just like in Classic, so it will pull into the next payroll. Now, if you want it to be further out, that's when you would put the pay date there, so it knows when to pull it in. And if you'd like, you can put, if they're substituting, the day is substitute for. And I meant to show this too. You also have, just like Classic, no posting to payroll, post to current, or post to future. Right? You have the mass add option for 10 screen. The key here is the length has to be the same and the days are consecutive. So if you were doing a sub that would work the whole day today, half day tomorrow, whole day the next day, you couldn't use this for that very reason. Okay. Oops, core. Bank account. This is where the bank accounts are for when you process payroll and ACH, and when you set up direct deposits for your employees, there's a part that says what bank is paying this, so to speak. And this is where you set those banks up. Most people only have one bank account for that. But if you were to have more than one, the one that's highlighted in green is the one that's the default bank account. This one will always appear as the default choice, but then there's a drop down that you would select a different bank account if that were the case. Compensation. Compensation is the second page of your job screen. They split those up. So you could come in, as you see, there's tabs within the menu, all compensation, contract compensation, or non-contract, which would be your timesheet hourly people that you enter individually. You can view the compensations. I always put it in edit mode because these blind eyes can't see it very well. I'm sorry. I also use this little plus here to make it the whole screen. But this is what in a compensation screen looks like. Legacy, well, you'll see that legacy usually when those are the compensations that you probably will have that are currently active right now. And when you go on, they'll always be considered legacy because they were imported. The rest will always, if it's a contract, will show either contract or non-contract depending on what you select. Here's your compensation date. These are your contract start and stop date. You have to start using them now. Okay, it's very important that you use them. Your pay plan, you pay unit amount. The system will calculate your unit amount. If this were archived, which is concealed, is what you're used to hearing. Something new is that once you put, and this is why you want to use compensation start and stop date, you create the job calendar, you come in and put the compensation start and stop date, the system calculates the days for you. So there's no errors. What you have on that job calendar between those dates is what's going to show is contract work days. Okay. It's very important. Oh, sorry, which question? Okay. Okay. You have to put their first day of work as their compensation start date. Okay. So that way it picks up, like you just said, the days. Right. And it gets tricky with the compensation stop dates because when's the first day of school for you? So I can use this as an example. Like when's their first day teaching? Okay, 26. So, and what's the last pay of this last contract? 24th. So yours works out well. You never want to go over across the compensation dates. Okay. Normally. So what happens is if this compensation date shows the 26th and as an end date and your new contract starts the 26th, it won't pay on, it will take that one day and add it to the job calendar for the old contract. So it will look like they didn't work their whole contract, okay? Okay, well, what you can do is, as long as the compensation date is within the period begin and end date of a payroll, it will pull this, it will catch this. So if you see it's the 26th, you can move it back to the 25th. As long as that date's within the pay beginning and end, you're fine. It's when they cross over. So if you have the 26th to start, but you took this contract to 8/31, because that was the old way. You did 9/1 to 8/31, but now that crosses over. So it's going to pick up those dates on that old job calendar for the old. So there's their actual date as your compensation date. You have to put that, and you have to be very careful. One way to work around the compensation stop date that people are using, weekends. You know, if you could maybe move that start date, maybe not necessarily a job starts on the 26th, use the weekends to pick up the days so they could get the credit for those days worked. Because we have one district that's not, they're like 2 pay periods behind. So that becomes a mess at this time of year for them. So just keep that in mind. One thing that's very important on a compensation record is the retirement hours and hours in a day. Okay, so it knows that if you worked overtime, it keeps track, a couple hours over. It knows what a full day is for this employee. Your contract amount, obviously, you know all of that. One thing that's different is in Classic, you had, say you had 26 pays, 25 were exactly the same. And on that 26 pays, it rounds up, down that penny. This software will adjust through the year. Penny here, penny there. So would it bother me? No. Do you guys have teachers with unions that will raise a fuss? Yes. Okay. So if that's the case, once you've put all the information in and you hit save, go back into modify mode and check this box that says override pay per period calculation. What that means is it will give them equal pays all through and adjust on the last one, just like Classic. Okay. Something that's different on a compensation screen is it's not equal pays, it's called stretch pay. And that box is right here under your contract obligation. You would check that if they were a equal pay person. This is one of 3 places that you will check reportable to Emis. Okay. Another thing that's a must, you need to have a calendar start date. You don't have to change it every year. That, you know, like you went from a secretary in a building to in a treasurer's office. I just need to know when this job, where these compensations started, is put in there. Okay. One thing I put into the SSDT is our enhancement. They have the pay group down here. I want it to be up here next to the job calendar. I want to be able to see all that information right there. But all that information is there, you just have to scroll down. If you didn't activate a contract at the right time, and it happens to everybody, the employee doesn't have the right amount of days as worked, you'll find this more close to STRS when you're doing your advance. You realize you didn't do it right, you can come down here to compensation adjustments and create an adjustment to give them those 5 days that you missed on them. But you got to remember, you also increase the amount earned because they're not getting that either. So you'll need to do both. Okay. I don't know about that. I'd be a little upset, but okay. So, and there's other things in here. Not everybody uses them, but the salary schedule, the contract type, the contract codes automatically pulled in the first time this compensation is within a submission of Emis for student staff. That's what it will automatically pull in. Anything that's in gray, basically, you cannot go on that box and modify. It's non-modifiable. There are a way to change those things, but that coming in here to do that is not the way to do it. Okay. Anybody have any questions about compensations? Okay. One thing that I like, again, here's this button. It says include archived. If I check that, everybody who's archived, concealed will populate. Well, I don't want all that. So I just want to see everybody who's not archived. But see, I still have some people here that have compensation dates, and this comes into play for Emis. After you've paid the rest of your contracts off at the end of this month for teachers, you need to go in and make those contracts archived, because the system, when you do the submission for Emis, it tries to pull both in. So sometimes it will do that, and it's because these compensation records aren't. It can sometimes. I like to clean them up, so when I come in here and I'm going to look at my compensations, I don't see everybody's for 5 years. These are all compensations right now because I'm on the all compensation tab. Okay, the compensation I just showed you was a contract. Okay, so I'm gonna show you something real quick. So I want to see compensation dates, anything that started less than or equal to 07, and I filtered. These are all the people who have contracts that started 7/1/19. I know that these are all paid. I can come down here, I hit mass change, and again, treasurers, you're the only one who has this permission right now. Okay, see over here where it says archived. Anytime you do a mass change, that whatever you're going to change has to be a column on your grid. Okay, so I want to look at archived, and I want to make it true. Okay, now I'm going to put in execution mode, and it says it's going to change 19 records. And it's just why this pops up, I honestly can't tell you, but you're fine. Close that, and now I have nothing on my screen because I don't have any compensations with start dates. But once I take that off, these are all the live, if you will, compensations. Non-contract, I'm going to take you into one of those. This is what a non-contract, a timesheet person would look like. Again, if they get raises every year, you probably want to do a compensation stop date here. This is where it's really important for you to put this in, because if you're putting timesheets in at hours, they need to know, like, what is a day for them? What is a typical day? If this happened to be archived, this box would be checked. As you can see, there's not a whole bunch on this one. Reportable to Emis, calendar start date. Actually, there's not a whole bunch. Again, unit amount you would enter since there's not a contract amount. If you're like me and you put it in edit mode so you can see, always hit cancel. But you just got to be careful. Just hit cancel, because if you were to go on into any of those fields and change one little thing by accident and you hit save, you just saved that change. Always hit cancel, okay? Unless you want to, you did change something and you want to save it. Date codes. This is similar. I mean, there's something like this in Classic. And I'm sorry, do you have a question, guys? Kelly or Janet? Okay, I thought I heard one of them.
No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Date codes, did anybody use date codes? Okay, if you decide, get there, I showed you where the documentation. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not. So, but if you decide to and look at the documentation, okay. Emis Entry. This is more what an Emis person is going to see, like your Emis coordinator. The regular payroll person won't see this, so I'm not really going to go over it, but this is where they're going to see the CJ record, the CC record, the employee information, the position entry. This is like, again, this is more the Emis person who's going to see this Emis entry, because we don't give them the keys to the kingdom. We just give them just what they need. Employee. This is where you can list all your employees. You could see them by Social Security number. And even though there is a module on here, and I'm going to go to the more, I want to see the Social Security number. And the reason I want to see the Social Security number is I get a new employee and you're not sure if they worked here before. You can come in here and start typing in their Social Security number, okay? Because we did have a district that happened to, but when this person came back, they had a married name. So when she looked them up, the name wasn't there, but the Social Security number. So we had to help them get that all fixed and settled in. So suggestion, you come in and look for the Social Security number before you do anything. Okay. You can make, again, you can have your termination dates in here. There's just a lot of different things you could put in a grid here. You could see the, let me find it. Is it state reporting? You could find information on state reporting. And remember, you can make reports from this grid. So if you wanted to come in here and look at termination date, where's the other one I'm looking for? And if you don't know where these are, because we still have a problem doing this sometimes, you just start dropping all the arrows down until you find it. Here's experience, all the different experiences that if you want to make a report on. And what's nice in this, when you go to update experience, you could put these on the grid, make a report. So let me put total experience on here. I'm going to put these in alphabetical order. When I go to make a report, you have different format options. One of the format options are, you have to go to the next page, Excel field names. That puts the column headers in for you. So you don't have to guess what the column header should be. So if I wanted to do that, open. So I can go in, there is a formula, I have it written down on a cheat sheet. There's a way to update everybody's by 1 year. I could go in there, I can get rid of blank spots, people who don't work there, maybe you didn't do it, you didn't terminate them, or you forgot to filter. You can go in there, get rid of them, save it as a CSV file, we can Massload and it will update all your years of experience for you. Okay. Cancel. Oops, did that wrong. Save. Take you in to see what the screen looks like now. First thing I will point out, you know how you had dummy records? You can make templates now. Okay, so once you fill in maybe Steubenville, Ohio, for the employees who work in Steubenville, West Virginia, different reportable units, not reportable units, it's up to you. You can make as many templates as you want. Fill in the generic information, save it as a template, give it a name, or you come in here and then when you're ready, you come in and just from the down menu, drop down menu, you pick it. Okay. As you see, if you have your system, if you're set up to default to your ID, you wouldn't fill that in. The security number. I'm not going to go through all this real in detail because later I'm going to add an employee. We're going to run through a quick payroll. So, but I do want you to see the different email addresses. You can have up to 3. This is where you, if you want that email, email the direct deposit, this is where you would check that. This is where your experience. and staff demographics. So this is part of your dem screen too, at the bottom. This is also where you put the long-term illness. Okay. Cancel this. Employee personnel, that is Emis again. Just so you know, no one will really see this but Emis. Job calendar. Okay, here's your different job calendars. You can filter if you're looking for one by type or description. You can create one. Okay. And I'm going to create one real quick. So test, and this is teachers. They're going to start on September 1st, and they're going to end. Now, what you want to put the dates they're going to work on this, not their contract dates. So they're working 9/1 to, we'll say, May 31st. They're all going to be work days. I don't want to include weekends. Let me mass add this. And now they're all there. Okay. Well, this is, once it's created, you're going to go in. So I know September 7th is Labor Day. I'm going to right click and I'm going to change it to a holiday. That's what you would do. Or if there's a day they just don't work, you know, because teachers don't get holidays per se, they're just off. Then I could come in here and just say none. You could go through and, right. It's easier to put them all in and go in and change those couple than to, right. So, and then if you can see, like, so now we're into January. And January 11th is a snow day. So now you would go in this, you could make it individual. There's also a way to do it mass. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Okay. Now I want to mass change. Go on the teachers and go down here and find it first. Test. And actually I could, there is something I could do. If I anchor myself in here and I hit T, it takes me down to the T's. So there, test. And I want to say that January 12th is also a calamity day. I want you to update that to a calamity day for me. And you can put more than one. I'm only picking one in this instance. Save. So now if I go into, oops, see how nice that filter works? So let me go in and view it. January 12th is now a calamity day. Another nice feature of job calendar, someone's leaving in the middle of a contract. They've worked, they did work at the beginning, but they left as of 12/31 of this year. They didn't teach the whole year. When I hit tab, right here it tells me this custom date range, they worked 87 days. And how we do that, because 87 days times their daily rate. That's how much they earned. Okay, so and it will even tell you for the fiscal year, for the calendar year, for the first quarter, January, for, you know. Yeah, and it also less room for error. The less room, especially, you know, it's just less room for error. Okay, you can also copy calendars like I did the teachers. Okay, so let me put it in here, go back down to my teachers. And I double click, or you can highlight it and use these arrows to move it from one palette to the next. So I want you to copy from, I don't know. Now there's not probably going to be anything here, but I'm just saying I want you to copy what was on that calendar onto my calendar. So that's another thing. So when you do your 260 employees, you can copy the teachers and then go in and add those extras. You know what I mean? And it just makes it a little easier if you wanted to do that. I find just going in and putting the dates in, that date range and all the work days instead of copying. But, you know, every district's different. I have one job calendar here. So I know there's districts. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. There's a lot of different ones, and some make custom ones if you have one person, which actually I will be doing because we have a part-time, someone who just retires, come back part-time. So I have to create a job calendar for her. So now I'm going to be up to a whopping 2. So, excuse me. Okay. Leaves. This is where you can see everybody's balance. There's 2 tabs here, leaves and accumulation. On the leaves, okay. Did I spell my name right? I didn't. I don't have leaves. That's why, because I'm a part-time person. I didn't make one for him either. Well, gosh darn. Okay, but you could see personal and sick leave. This is how much they accumulate, the leave unit, their max amount, the reset value, and what their balance is. And you can make a report of this. You can, I only want to see people with a personal leave. Okay, I want to see people with greater than 2. And it will get rid of like this 1.5. So, and then I can make a report after I put them in alphabetical order. So that's a little nice feature that you can grab these reports on the fly. Accumulations. This is where you can manually accumulate any type of leave for an employee. I use this when you get a new employee and sick leave transfers over. I would come in here and I would create for the employee. Obviously, they have to have their position already. Everything has to be set up for them, obviously. You would find the person, the position, the leave type, which this person doesn't get any. This is going to automatically fill what the leave unit, daily or hourly, transfer from XYZ district, how much they're transferring, and the transaction date. Transaction date must be within the posting period. And in this case, if you look over in the right-hand corner, it's August. So you can only use August dates. You can't backdate. Go back to leaves. Now, if I wanted to create leave, and you don't have to use the drop down. You can start typing the name, continue, and this is where I can come in and start setting up all the information. So it's sick, I accumulated a day and quarter, leave unit is daily, maximum 210, there is no reset value. And this is where accumulate based on hours. If you have someone who's part-time who gets their leave by hours. Okay, I don't accumulate on anything on personal. It's daily, max leave amount, reset value is 3. Now I will tell you for our vacation, I've been using accumulation per month. It's easier. I just put in, okay, I know that I'm maxed out at 20, okay? So when the time comes daily, my max amount without carrying over 15, so it's 35. There is no reset value. Save. There my leaves are set up. So if I wanted to go over and accumulate transfer leaves, now I'm there. Any questions so far? Want to see anything else? Okay. Organization. This is your USPS DAT configuration screen. Okay. This is where you're going to see your name, address, IRN, phone numbers, your different ID numbers, your federal, state, ODJFS, SCRS, and STRS codes. It's also, they planned it on here too, if you ever want a quick glance at where you are with the STRS. Advanced. If I was in advanced mode, that would be checked. I can't modify this, but I can see at a quick glance where I'm at. The difference being from your report at the end of June, that's how much your advance is, amount paid back. It doesn't diminish that number down. It shows you what your amount is and how much you've paid back. It keeps track, and those numbers, once they equal, it takes you out of advanced mode. Okay, pay distributions. Every employee must be set up with a pay distribution, regardless of how they're being paid. Check, direct deposit. One of the new things is that employees can now be paid partial check and partial direct deposit. I don't know how, yeah. Every district who we have trained has said the same thing. It's one or the other. So, you know, that's just the way it is. Yeah, what they don't, you know. So I'm going to go in, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and show you. Okay. So this is what it looks like. When I hit create, a box like this will pop up, and I have to say I want to add a pay distribution. I've already done that and created of my direct deposit. Codes can be anything you want. There's no set codes. We just kind of flowed from classic 700. You know, that's fine. Abbreviation, that's up to you. Here's where you'll put the employee's account number. Is it percent or fixed? The rate, the date it starts, if it stops, and priority if they have more than one. Here's where you were going to tell it, is it a checking account? Is it a pre-note for a checking account, which you would want to do if it's a new employee? Is it savings and a pre-note for savings? ACH, now this is where you put in, remember from route screen, this is where it makes it nice. Remember I said you put a name in, it helps you find it a little quicker. You might have 3 Huntingtons, but at least it narrows it down for you to Huntington, you know what I mean? So that helps. This is your payroll information for the bank, your account numbers. Remember I said it was going to default, and it does because I only have one here. This cannot be left blank. Those things cannot be left blank, or you'll get an error when you go to do your payroll. And this obviously is for your use. It's not mandatory. You want to put something in there, go for it. So say I only wanted 50% to go here. Well, no, I'm going to take it back. 100% is going to go there. We'll leave that. But I'm going to do something you guys won't allow me to do. I want to check, because I want to hide this from my husband. What? I run the checkbook, so he doesn't know anyway, so. You know what I mean? There you go. He just knows the bills are paid. We're good to go. Yeah, what else? So the priority is 1. So I told it I want to check, I want it fixed. The first $200 is going to come to me. So now when this runs, it's going to do the flat, give me a check for 200, and it's going to put the 100% of the balance into that direct deposit account. Okay? Cancel that. There you go. But again, everybody must have one. What you imported over from Classic, you're good. You're fine. But from here on out, when you add an employee, it is a must. Okay? Sure. I don't think you have to. I think it's more an internal code. But if that's what you want to do, by all means, do it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to keep it consistent, definitely. Right. And I would do that because, you know what I mean, for your purposes, you go to look at something, well, I know that code's a Christmas club. I know that code's this. So yes, definitely, you know, you want to leave a couple because some people have more than one direct deposit, you know what I mean? So I would say continue doing it the way you're doing it. Pay groups. Again, here's where you're going to come in and make pay groups. Something that you'll notice on some of these boxes when you create, in the left-hand corner, it says create new or close. If I were to going to be adding more than one job, pay group, I would click this. So every time I hit save, it leaves the box open so I can just keep adding. If you're only adding one, you could put to close. So when you hit save, it closes the box. Or if you leave those unchecked, it will save it, but then I have to hit X. What's the difference if you click the close or you click the X? It's preference, whatever you're comfortable with. But what's nice about this, you can tie job calendars to pay groups. So in a quick view, or if you set up your grid, you could see all that. Pay group description, you can archive. You can never delete pay groups that you've used, but you can at least archive them. So if you were to run a report, you can tell it either to include the archive or don't include the archive. And then you could do your report. Okay, pay group, payee. Now payee, how do I want to put this? Payee are your vendors for your payroll items or your deductions. So you know how in dead name you assigned a vendor number to it? This is where you'd set up a payee, all the information. You don't necessarily have to give it a number. If you've done it so long you can't change, like me sometimes, I put numbers there. Okay. So let me look at this one for you. Again, it has that create, new, and close. You'd give it a number. You don't have to, but you can. The name, second name. Is this an electronic payment? This is very important because you can't go back, you can't use the same vendor for electronic and check. It's one or the other. If you need to have one of each, you're going to have to create one of each. Okay. Address, this is all basic stuff here. Again, you can archive these if they're no longer in use. Okay. Payroll accounts is just that. Here's where you can go through your employees and look at the different payroll accounts that are assigned to each of their compensations. Okay. You can do a drop down. If you start typing in, you want to change active, inactive, specific miscellaneous, percent, flat, fixed, start and stop dates. And here's where you're going to check for your employer distribution and leave projection if it applies. And there's a sort option. I think it's just like classic with the sort option. But if I wanted to change this person's account, start typing. You have to use hyphens. You'll get used to it. I'm used to the web where you could just start typing and it would move you over. It doesn't do that, unfortunately. So hyphens. And just there. I found one, changed it. I'm going to cancel that though. You can add, if you notice that when I was in edit mode, you can add more than one. This is how you're going to delete a line. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete it. Cancel because I don't want to change anything that was on there. Payroll item, deductions. Okay, sometimes this blue line will get on your nerves. It depends on internet traffic. So you can come in and add here. You can find everybody who has 590 record. Type, rate itself. If you're going to, you could come in here to create. I want to look at an annuity item. It's only going to show me annuities. And they're listed over here. I can create. And when I create, I'm not creating the payroll item itself. I'm only creating it for an employee. So you would have to come in, find your employee, what annuity, and it narrows it down to just annuities for this drop down, which is nice. What are you adding? If I were to add 590 though, let's see. Keep using the down arrows. They have too many annuities. Good God. Okay. It's not working the way I want it to. You can assign positions here too. And just like in Classic, we don't want you to assign a position unless you absolutely have to. Okay? Because if you have somebody, like treasurers have pickups, okay? Unless you're doing something other than your treasurer's job and you don't have pickup on it, then you want to assign your treasurer's position, the 590, the 690, the 400, what have you. Otherwise, just for a regular everyday person, I wouldn't assign positions to them because then it can cause you issues along the way. Payroll item configuration. This is where you add deductions. As you can see, there's a long list of them here, but you're going to create. What type of a deduction is it? Is it a tax? Is it regular? Medical savings? Health savings? Let's do. And this is where you're going to put in the code. And again, just like in your Classic, you assign those codes. We don't have specific. You don't have to stick within 500s for annuity. You remember how you had to? You aren't limited to that anymore. I still do that. Again, it's just easier. You look at a report. I know this is an annuity, but it is an option if you want to change that. The name, the abbreviation you wanted to show, the W-2 abbreviation, pay cycle. Do you guys use pay cycles on your deductions? Good, because that's going to come in handy a little later. So certified, I highly suggest you get these in on all of them. If you don't have already, go back and get them in. Your different options, the voluntary suppress the SSN, employee health coverage required, print employer amount. Show on Create Wizard is not available yet. They're working on it. So when you go to add an employee, if you have that clicked, just like in bio screen when you were adding somebody, remember how it had the ones that you had to add for them? It will appear in a list like that for you. It's not developed yet, but they are working on it. But that's what that's for. You remember the payee you had to enter? This is where you have the vendor, so to speak, the payee. This is where you would fill it in. So you could see why you don't need a name. Just start a number. You could just start typing the name in there. And you can pick whichever one you want. So if I do this medical savings and I'm doing it through First National Bank, but now we're not going to use First National Bank, I'm going to use a different bank. It's just a matter of coming in and changing the payee information. Okay. Position is just like job screen page 1. And I'm trying to think, I think it's position screen. I'm going to create one. Okay, so again, you could just start typing a name. Position number, description, you can see all this. This is all that was basically on the first page of your job screen. Something that's different is the supervisor. Remember for kiosk, you had to go out on the web to assign the supervisor. You're actually going to do it here now. Here's your building code, your department code, and your supervisor. Here's, it's very important when you add. We've had some people miss this information. If you put it in one place, you have to put it in both places. Here's part of your bend, part of it, it's not your bend screen, it affects your bed screen. You check for personal leave, sick leave, vacation. Reportable to Emis. There's your third spot. Employee screen was the other one, as well as compensation. And here's where you go in and you start putting your position codes in. Low grade separation reasons, your position status, C or U. And this is when you, there's a process you do when you're done with, you know how you had to clear your Emis fields when you did your new contract and you told it to put it off to the right-hand side? There, when you do the equivalent of that in here to move over, this is where it's supposed to move over to. Assignment area. Now, once you hit save on these, at the bottom, you're going to be able to see where, I'm going to go into one so you can see. At the bottom, you will be able to see the payroll accounts and the compensation part, at least the unit amount. You have to be in, you cannot be in modify mode to go in here and add a compensation. So you could add a compensation straight from here, or you can go to compensation and add. It's your call, but at least you could see the payroll accounts. Physician personnel, that's Emis again. That's their window into the position screens for your employees. And last in this menu is posting periods. Only treasurers have access to this. Maybe on down the line, you'll probably want to give someone else in your office this access, because this is where you change months. And in budgetary, you know, you have adjust, and when you run certain payroll programs, it pushes you over into the next month. That's not how it works now. You physically have to come in here and change the posting period. It's very simple. It's not hard. But first, you have to make sure the posting periods are there. You have to create them. So I already have August in here. I want to put September, and it's calendar year. The system knows where to put that for your fiscal year. So it's the calendar year you're entering. If I were ready to move over to September, I could check this box to make it my current month, but I'm not ready. So here it is. The month that's highlighted green is your current month. You can have months open, and by that it means you can use dates, not posting dates, but usually this more affects budgetary more than payroll. But if you were using, you needed to go back maybe days to add attendance or what have you, that might cause a problem, it's open. But it really doesn't need to be left open. So I'm going to close it. And right here it tells you when I opened it and when I closed it. So these icons over here, if you just hover over top of them, that's the action that will happen if you click on it. Okay. Again, will they let you edit in what tabs? Okay. Yeah. That's why only treasurers have that ability. Yeah. So, I mean, could you possibly shoot us, ITC, an email and say, oh my gosh, I'm on vacation and Mindy needs me to change the posting period? It's on the payroll checklist about your posting period. Yes, it is. But as far as you, when you change it, if you're not going to be in the office, is not on there. But if you don't want them to have the permission, which I understand, it's I don't think you're hurting their feelings because of this. If you forget, you go on vacation, shoot F-Staff R a help desk ticket and say, I forgot to change it before I left. Would you please put us in blah, 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 posting period for budgetary or payroll? And we'll do it because we have something to back us. Once you make a month current, if there's another month that's current, it will automatically, it will still stay open, but it no longer is current. Okay. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So any questions about this? Okay. All right, that's the whole core menu. And I know it took a long time, but there's a lot of the stuff you need for payroll in this menu. So any questions from anybody on this before we move on to the next one? Okay. Payments. Just that. Here's your check register. This is where you can come in and reconcile and unreconcile checks. So the first thing I always do is show me my paid checks to make my life easy. Put them in order. And now with your bank statement, you just, okay, these ones came in. Oh, yeah, these ones came in. Then you could reconcile. Now, you see what happened? I accidentally, my mouse moved over, so I was on the actual line. When I clicked on that line, see, when I clicked on the line, it will pop over on the other side. Okay, you're supposed to pop over on the other side. Why isn't it? There we go. So you could just get a quick glance at it, but yes, let me show you. So I'm going to reconcile these 6 checks. I want to use, everybody's different here. Oh, come on. I know I did this. I hit my num lock. That's what happened. There. Reconcile. It tells you how many checks and how much they totaled. If you find you didn't do it, you reconciled a check that shouldn't have been reconciled, you can always go and unreconcile it. Just like classic. So if you made a mistake, that's not a problem. So, but once you've reconciled all your checks, I know that you can do it, how do I want to put this? There's a report that you can go to reports for outstanding checks. I don't waste my time. I'm sorry. I filter by what's still left open and I do my report. And sometimes I'll say, if I'm in the middle of balancing, I don't want the whole report. Just show me the summary. I don't want to see each individual check. Just show me the summary right now, what's left. And then if I have a problem, okay, then I'm going to come back over and maybe run the full report. But at least I know my outstanding checks are $96,997.68. I like that feature. Okay. One thing, nice thing in here too is obviously you can reissue checks from here. You can create another print file. So if someone come in with their physical check and said, I washed this, you have that check. You could come in here and just reprint that one check for them. You can resequence it. Because when you run payroll, the payroll checks will they won't automatically pull in the first check number for payroll. So if you keyed in the wrong number, you can actually come in here and resequence it, which means renumber them. Okay, so you can do that without us. Now, when you do your deductions, for some reason that one defaults to the next check number. Go figure. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So, and then if does anybody use the auto reconcile? Okay, this is where if you had, you know how you have positive payable, there's the opposite where you can get the batch and reconcile. This is where you would upload that file in here to reconcile. The only thing I'll be honest about, I don't care for this, that they don't have the electronic checks. You know, so, and I can get to them, that's not a problem. But in a check register, I feel that they all should be in there regardless. So this is where you can come and do manual checks, manual payments, you could create them. Is it an employee check? Is it a payee check? A payee is, of course, your payroll item, your deduction checks or other checks. So say you need to physically move, you can't transfer the money, physically remove your interest from payroll to move it over to budgetary. You can actually create a check to do that from here. There's more documentation, what other ways you could use that too. So I have employee, you could find the employee, check number, date, go for it. You can void and unvoid them as well. The other tab for manual print checks, if you created a check, you have to come over here, find it, so you can get your print file. And you can either do an XML, which is what Edge uses. Do you use Edge or a different print? Okay. I know we have other districts. I'm not sure what they use, so I apologize. You use Edge, right, Lisa? Okay. Edge was XML. Huh? It is? Okay. So these are your two options on how you want it. Most of them are the XML. When you're dual processing, even though Classic is considered your authoritative, means that is what it is. Redesign, we suggest you try printing the checks through here as well, just to test it. So when you go live, you know it works. That's all. Okay. So once you do it, you're going to process the payments. You're going to get a file to save. Okay. And then when you're done, it brings you back here, and then I'm just going to click done. I've printed it. I'm done. Again, you can resequence if you used the wrong check number. Payee, your deduction checks. These are all your payee payments. And again, you want to see, there's no pay dates listed here, but this is a test account. But in live, you will see those. You can have your payroll item codes and total amount if it's voided. But here's where you can separate down to what's a check. And this is where you would come to see your electronic. Now this is where if you reconcile your electronic checks, you will come to reconcile them. Okay. But your payees are on the check register, the check ones are on the check register. And again, you can reissue, create new print files. Payroll is just that, your payroll checks. These are all your payments where you can print payment checks and direct deposits again. Void, unvoid. This is your direct deposit. See this little button here? You can generate a new ACH submission file for this person. If you had to go in and change or something happened, you can come in here and do it. Now, again, it's a test, so I can't show you all of it. But you can also reissue. Now you see right here, it says reissue as a check. Okay. So someone closed their account, they didn't tell you, not that that ever happens. That never happens. You know, I know. It just blows your mind. So, and then here's your payroll payment checks. Reissue, make another print file, renumber them. Okay. And last in this is your refund. This is where you'd see any of your refund checks that you may have processed, separate obviously from a payroll. Any questions in any of that? Does anybody need a break, or do you want to keep rolling? Well, I'm just trying to wake them up. I mean, come on. All right. Well, if no one wants to take a break, then we'll move on. Your next menu is payroll. Very simple. Current, future, and where you initialize your payroll. Can't be more simple than that. So I'm going to go to future first. Now, when I put in when I showed you attendance, remember I said no posting? Okay. The difference that, from classic to redesign for that, do you remember you could do the switch that when you hit PF4, it would take you straight to up the CalFute, and you can't do that here. So once you put attendance in, if the dollar amount's wrong or the pay type is different, this is where you need to come in. So like I put in, we have one person who that we contract out, I put some hours in. I go into attendance, I post future, then I come over to future. He's the only one in there, but I will go in and I will come and I will put the description. I'll tell the date and where he worked is that overtime. That way he could keep track. I use the tab a lot. So once I'm here and I tab over, I hit O, it goes to overtime. But let me show you the drop down. Here's your different pay types that you could select from. Effective date, you don't want to put that in. That's when I'm sorry. Effective date you don't want to put in because you want it to come into your next payroll. So you want to leave the date blank. Units, the rate if you need to change it, applies for retirement, usually does. If you were paying somebody overtime just because they helped out. I work in the treasurer's office, but I helped out in the ticket office for a couple of hours. Well, you're not going to create a whole new job for me, but yet you don't want that amount of money being charged off to the treasurer's office. Down here is where you're going to change that account code that they're being, this is being charged off to. So I know this whole amount, I don't want to come here. Let's see. Come on. So, okay, so you see, you get the gist of it. So 1, okay. And I want the whole percent, I want 100%. Do I want to be part of my employer distribution? Employer distribution is your board dis for your Medicare and such. So do I want that? Well, yeah, I'm not fun ain't paying for that Medicare. Get out of here. But it doesn't have anything to do with leave reduction. Future pay amount compensation. Oh, because I didn't select a. How was she in? So, okay, there wasn't a compensation record. It wouldn't let me change it. Let's see, payroll current. If you try going in there first, this is what you're going to see. There's no in progress payrolls, so I can't put anything in current. All right, be that way. So I'm going to go to payroll processing. This is where you would initialize the new payroll, but this is where you can see past payrolls. And I can go into, now this, you cannot do this on imported payrolls. But from this point moving on, you'll be able to go to details, and they have different reports across here. Your pay report, your budget distribution, your pay account distribution, and there's one called a pay item detail. And what that is your dead debt. That's really what it is. It shows you, but you can select. What's nice about that, it will pop up, and I'll show you later. I only want to see these couple. Like I withheld this, but it's not being paid this month. You know, just pay. This is where you can email notifications again. So say someone they changed your email address, didn't tell you, what have you. You can go in and select just them to send an email to. You'd have to move everybody over, but you can find them and select them and send it again. And that's always there. That won't leave. And there's going to be a little bit more, like I said, when you start. This is what your in-account, if you will, your initialization will look like. This is where you're going to tell it's a special pay. All your pay groups automatically default to moving over to selected, but we don't do that because you have some pay groups that have this pay range and some have this pay range, your beginning and date. So what I'm going to do is I held shift down and I to do that, and I moved them over. So I only want to pay this one. That's it, initialize payroll. Oh, and I didn't fill it in, so. Again, I'll do this more in depth when we do a payroll later. Okay, Had I would initialize it, now you would see it here, and the detail button would still be over here. But I keep, so in other words, you can keep going out, in and out, in and out, because you'll have that detail button. So processing. Your benefit update projection, that's your BENAC. There's 5 tabs across the top here. The first one's the most used one, your benefit accrual. It automatically defaults to projection, okay? One thing about where you see report titles, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be able to customize that title, projection, sick. I want it to be as of the end of the month. I want an employee name order, and I only want this pay group. Or you can do individual. Generate the report. Open. Okay, I'm blind. So no one in there must have been able to have it. Someone in that has to be able to get it. Oops, one too many. And that's what it looks like. What their previous balance, what you're going to accumulate, and what their new balance will be. Okay. This one person has that number sign as hashtag. They're not getting anything because they're already maxed out. So, and there's a legend that will tell you. But you see, remember I changed the title? See how it prints on the report now? So you could change that. I do that with my payroll reports. I always put the pay date in front of that. So as I'm looking at a report, I know exactly what pay report I'm looking at for what pay date. Okay. Then the bottom, well, previous balance, accumulation, and now what your new balance is going to be. And again, I use this for vacation too. So remember I said I set it up? So come July 1st, I just did vacation and did it. And it accrued everybody's vacation days for me. Now this is projection. Then there will be your actual. Here's where you're going to reset your personal leave. Convert personal leave to pay. Do either one of you guys do that? Convert personal to pay? So they get money for the, like you buy their personal days. Okay. Convert personal leave to sick leave. I know that's what you do. And then part-time sick leave accrual. Okay. So as you, this is very simple. I mean, and again, if you have any questions, there's no more F7 key for you to hit. I'm sorry, I loved my F7 key. To this day, I still use my F7 key. But that's where the documentation that the SSDT has is really good. Not like Classic. Classic, I sit there and search and I look and I can't find anything, but I showed you how it just, every menu, every option, what to do, what it means, you know. I think they did a really good job with the documentation. Okay, new contracts. This is where you can copy new contracts. You can mass copy contracts. This is where I went in because I want to include my whole, I told you I have one pay group, one job calendar, moved it over and include compensation active of June 30th, 2020, so I didn't catch anybody else. My new contract 7/1/20 to 6/30/21. Build new contracts. Now, because I put the dates in, it changes those dates on that compensation for me. The only thing I really have to do, because we're semi-monthly, will always be 24 pays, not 26, 27. We're always 24 pays. I just basically have to go in and plug in the new contract amount. That's it. but I do have to uncheck those boxes to, remember I said override the per pay. There's a calculate button, and once it calculates the new figures, then I check the boxes. I'm done, you know what I mean? And then there's a way you can import. Not a lot of people use this. If this is something you want to do, we can try. We'll do all our best to help you. We don't have a lot of experience with it, but again, documentation is good, and Jerry here is really good about that kind of those reports, those Adam. Okay, there is a way to do salary notices. You have to use mail merge right now to do it. And I actually have step-by-step instructions in our knowledge book, because when you go to knowledge book, how there's fiscal, there's also a fiscal R now. So you will find in there this next year, right? But they showed me once, and I was able to go through it. And this last year, it was like, okay, what do I do? I was able to work it out. It's not horrible, but we decided let's put something in writing to help you out. So it's there for you. Okay, payroll processing. Here we go. Payroll item refund. This is I believe your ref screen, if I remember correctly. So when you put an adjustment in the payroll item, someone's payroll item, there's error adjustments. They're not getting paid anymore, and you need to pay them this way, or they've got the union breathing down your neck that you withheld something you shouldn't have. You want the money now, not next week. This is where you would go in and refund. You would check a person's name, refund selected payroll items, and then is this a check, ACH, starting check number, issue date, and you would process this. Okay. Yes. Right. So this would happen. Usually the most common time this is used is the person they were leaving and you accidentally withheld their insurance. Well, they're not getting another paycheck to refund it on. So this is when you'd come in. You'd have to go onto their deduction screen, the payroll item screen, and put it in the error adjustment that you've got to pay it back. But then it will show up here in the grid, and then you'll check next to it and you'll do all of these. Yeah. The one thing I will tell you, since it's web-based now, there are no more backups. You don't have to worry about backing up, someone's in the system. But by the same token, you can't email us and say, can you take us to my backup? There's no backup to take you to, so yeah, if worse came to worse and dire, I think there is a last resort thing with MCO ECM or something. Yeah. But if we did that, we'd have to take you back to the beginning. Like whenever they did it back at 5 a.m., you made the mistake at 2 p.m. So everything you did from 7:30 to 2, bye-bye, it's gone. So keep that in mind. I don't mean that to scare you, but just you need to have that knowledge. We've been on it for 2.5 years, since 2018. I don't think we have. Yeah, we were able to find a workaround and get it fixed. So where there's a will, there's a way. Okay. And we really did not want to do the backup. So any questions so far? Okay. Processing outstanding payables. This is your pay dead. Okay. They changed it to payables. Okay. So there's five tabs across the top. It all depends on how you want to see your deductions in here. I always like to use the payable by the payroll item configuration. You have to select the pay cycle. This is why I asked you, do you have your deduction set up with pay cycles? I only want to say, I just did my first pay of the month. So I only want to see what gets taken out every payroll. Or if it's the end of the month, you would put both of them over there. So as you can see, there's quarterly and annually, depending on how you have it set up. There aren't any outstanding deductions, but if I was doing a payroll, they would be sitting there. This is very important, so please make a note at this point. You see this payables report? You have to get that report before you process any outstanding payables. Once you process your outstanding payables, you cannot get this report. Okay? So that's one I don't care for. I can get so many other reports, but this one, you will not be able to get this report once you have paid them. Okay. One other thing about payables I will tell you, and I'll show you more later, when I initialize a payroll, if I start going through reports and I've already posted it and now I'm running my Bordis, and oh man, I didn't check the box employer distribution on that new employee, they're not showing up on my report. As long as I haven't processed any of these, and if you have HSA, you haven't processed the ACH tape or HSA, I can unpost that payroll and go in and fix it. Then come back out and do it again. So if you notice on your payroll checklist, you're processing these deductions, I put like way at the bottom. So you have so many opportunities to find issues to go back and unpost, to make corrections, and then post again. So just heads up on that. It's a nice feature. Payables adjustments. You may have some in there I'm trying to think of the payroll adjustments. When you do when you do a refund of a deduction, you may see it sitting in here to show you it's sitting, and it will be processed as part of your next pay to them if you want it to. If you don't want it to, then let's see, you can show, we'll do that. There's none in there. But this is where you come. Some people have found with the import from Classic, they have orphan like little ones hanging out there. If you go into this and you see something from like 3 years ago, don't panic. All you need to do is create an offsetting one. So if it says a negative $100 on the 590, go in and post $100 to 590. But they go by employee, so you have to have all that information, and it will offset it and you won't have to worry about it. So when you process that 590, yeah, it will be in there, but it's a net zero. It won't affect your payment. Yes, if they're not meant to. So that might be something you might want to look at when you log into your payroll instance. Go to this Payables Adjustments. Do you see anything? Because you were imported after you closed the month. No payrolls in process or anything. So you should be able to see, it should be nothing. It should be nothing. If there is something and it's old, you should create an offsetting. Don't panic. Just to create an offsetting. That's all we did. It's what the SSDT told us to do. Just create an offsetting one. Okay. Okay, that was all for processing. Reports. I am not going to go through all these reports with you, but these are your more common reports that you're going to use per pay, end of quarter, end of a year type things. So the first one, you're going to use your ACH submission. There's 2 tabs, payroll and HSA. Now I will tell you, if you've created all your ACH submission files like you should have, there's nothing down here in the payroll. If you need to, for some reason, create a new tape file, all you have to do is say display all the payrolls, and it will show you all your payrolls that you can create, because you have to check one when you create this. What payroll am I doing this for? And then recreate it. Here's where you can generate the report to look at the report, and I compare it to my pay report at the bottom to make sure they match. Make it a habit to just always convert pre-notes to ACH submission file upon, when you generate it. So once you've looked at the report, you come down there and submit. Now it's going to be different. It's not an SEQ file. It's a TXT file. It works. Okay, I'm here to tell you it works. For the what? No, this information is what's pulled from your ACH source. So that's where this is going to pull this information from. Okay, and it's up to you. I don't include our Social Security numbers on ours. I don't know what you do, but you can include them or you can replace them with the employee ID numbers. Every district's different, so you have to select that. Employee name or employee number, do you want it? And then, like I said, generate report. What's it look like? Looks good, generate. The next tab over is your HSA submission. Again, this will be blank. I will tell you, we went to HSA 2 years ago. So every payroll I did prior to that is sitting there and I can't get rid of them. It just is what it is because we didn't have HSA at the time. Therefore, I didn't create a tape file. Therefore, they're sitting there. It's not a big deal. It really isn't. And there's no way to get rid of them. But again, you have the same options here to pull. If you notice, it won't even pull one because I don't have an HSA account set up here. But Social Security number, name, download the report, the submission file. And again, if the payroll's down here, you have to check it. But once you, and this is that other thing I was telling you, if you have HSA and you've created this, you cannot unpost your payroll now because it's considered a payroll item. So you process the payroll item or deduction, if you will. We have the afford report. Here's an audit report. Auditor state CSV report. That's the one you will send to them at the end of the year. Okay. Benefit BENOB is what you're used to calling these by account and by employer. Census report. Your check STRS advance. I don't know how well that will work out for you this year because we're kind of in the middle of it, but still try it and see if it works for you to balance. Your CRDC report, Emis reports. Here's your earn reg, employee master file. Here's your employer distributions, which is your board dis. So when you go into that, you select, this one is the one that isn't customizable. I try every time and every time it never works. So I can't have my way 100% of the time. How do you want this format? The start date and a stop date. Obviously when it's just every payroll one, it's the pay date. It's the start and stop date. If it's a monthly, I put the first pay date and the second pay date. That's my range. Pay cycle, you have to select a pay cycle. And here, this is fairly new. So sort options and subtotal options. You could do by account code or payroll item code or deduction code. And then the subtotal, do you want it has a little bit more. Payroll item, account code, fund, or function. Okay, use only employer distribution accounts. So what you're saying is only the people who have that box checked. That's the only people I want you to use. So this is where you're going to catch that you didn't check someone's box because we've had tickets, they don't match. Well, then I go through and it's like, well, you checked this, but this person didn't have a box checked, therefore they're not being pulled into the report. And you can do one of two things. Even if you go and check that it's too late, you can't unpost a payroll, and you go back and check it, it still will not pick up on this because you processed that payroll, okay? You do what you normally do. When you go to do the purchase order, you add it on and you make a note. If you have to, add a specific line for that person and while you're doing it, no problem. Summarize individual amount details. So if it's a monthly payroll item, so half's pulled out, one pay, the other half, instead of being 2 lines, you would check this and it would just put them down as 1 line for the whole amount. Okay, you would use that more like your insurances and stuff. And then select. You can, I do mine individually, like I'll do my 400 and 690s first, my Medicare, and then I do my HSA and generate the report. Now this is only projection here. It's a report, therefore it's only a projection. I'll show you later where you go to post it. Okay. Employer retirement share, that's your board ret. Does either one of you, does anybody use board ret? You don't use board ret? Do you have a foundation? Do you pay your STRs? Look how cool this is though. You tell the beginning date for the month. How much is your foundation for STRs? How much is for STRs? And I'll generate the report for me. That might be something for you to look at. Now, again, this is projection and you can just get an idea, but it's just like, that's what I used. I used board ret there. So, okay. Let's see what else is in here. Here's your job calendar report. And you could put in the begin date, end date, find calendars with work dates on this date, page break on the new calendars, exclude archive job calendars, and you can select as many as you want. Here's your leave balance report. Boy, that went quick. I was waiting for the blue line. What your sort options. You want page breaks. Yeah. All leave types. And then for the pay group. I want to see their balances as of, what their balances are right now. I don't know. I think I picked that same pay group's going to have no data returned. Yep. Good golly. Someone's got to have some leave. And obviously that box pops up. Everybody has computers different. Some go up to that download with the arrow. I like mine to pop up. What do you want to do with this? Save it or view it? So, and this is what this will look like. Let me make this bigger. Excel, CSV. There's a lot of different. So, and this tells you the pay group, the building department. It gives you a little bit more information as well. And then it gives you the balances for everybody. So this would be good for like your bus drivers maybe, see if they're missing a lot, or aides or cafeteria or teachers. Okay. Leave report, leave projection report, which really is a lot like your BENAC, but you could use it here as well. Let's see, new contract report, ODJFS new hire. So there's a box on the employee screen that says report ODJFS hire. Once you do that, it puts them over here. And then you can select one or all and generate report. And then you're going to generate your submission file to upload to ODJFS. Once you click generate submission file, there's another box on the employee screen that says reported. Okay, so that's how you know. And here's your ODJFS report for the quarter. And what's nice now, you can go back and run these. Like we're in the third quarter, but if you were on the redesign for the whole year, I can go back and look at second quarters, first quarters. Can't change anything really, but you could go back conceivably and run them. Your pay amount summary, a lot of people use this for the payroll. I don't have a payroll process, so therefore I can't get a report to show you. Okay. Payment transaction status type. And this is, I guess, really kind of like an outstanding check, for lack of a better term. You could put in some, all information. I don't use this too often. Again, I use that grid for my outstanding checks. Perfect attendance report, your quarter report. Again, this is something you can run. You're not clearing totals. You don't have accumulators anymore. There's no accumulators to clear. So I could come in, I'm in third quarter, well, I lost that report for the last quarter, what have you. I can come in here and rerun it again as many times as I want. SRS new hire report, again, it's the same thing. You would come in and you select, here's your new employees. You generate the report, generate a file, again, on the 400 payroll item deduction where you check it's a new hire. That becomes unchecked once I submit that file. Once I process it, I should say, not submit literally. Here's your pay per SRS per pay. It's the same thing. Here's where people get a little confused on it. We're semi-monthly, so I'm SMO 0002. You have to, they're separated here. Okay, that's it. People don't know what goes in what column, just so you know. You can link to SCRS straight from here to upload your tape file. Okay, and you can list, as you can see, depending, I don't think anybody has this many here. Do you have this many pay groups? I mean, pay cycles for SCRS? We don't either. How many you have? A couple? Yeah, you're good. But I guess there's some larger districts. I mean, seriously, didn't realize how well I liked it this small, but but this is where you can go and do your report, validate it, create a submission file, and link straight to SCRS to upload. Let's see, there's a surcharge report. Here's your SCRS advanced report where you'd put in the dates. These are your 3 reports that you normally get where everybody's on it, just the advanced and then just the non-advanced. Once you're done, submit, generate the submission file. Once you have that and download it, you can come in here and click, pull that up, and then submit right from here. Okay, there is no send anymore. You remember how you would type, you would send that STRS file? You can't do that anymore. This is how you have to upload it to them. Okay. There's the monthly report. They have their new hire report, WAGOB by account employee, and here's your W-2 submissions. So you can do a report, the submission file, forms, XML. Okay. And when you come time for calendar year end, we'll tell you what needs to be done. There's the W-2 city options, and then there's W-2 state options. And this is more for people with Pennsylvania. Do you guys have anybody for Pennsylvania? Do you know if you have Pennsylvania employees? Used to be. The new rule, I think it was this last year, wasn't it, Miss, that if you had 10 or more Pennsylvania employees, you had to submit with a file. But no one around us has that many. Yeah. But there are some, I guess, maybe up Youngstown way, maybe we have more that come across. That's their problem. Okay. I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. There are report manager, lists a whole bunch of more reports. Well, basically, remember when I said show all reports on that home page? These are all those reports. And here's that box I was telling you about, favorite. I could go in here and select what's favorite. So on the home page, only the ones I like are there. So I'm not sitting here going like this through the list trying to find it. You can also customize reports. Adam Lewis is really good about it. He's not in the room right now. But there, no, I don't need him in here, but there is a way we can try to customize. Your reports are going to look different. I'll tell you right now, they're going to be different. And that, I think that was what is not one of the most difficulties I had with, you're used to FinSum or whatever, you just go type it in and it's a little different. If you don't find what you're looking for in here, we can try to help you customize it. There's also under the help button here, a public shared reports library that other districts, treasurers have possibly created. And you can go down here and like you can see examples of them, and they're broken down per pay reports, monthly reports, quarterly, Emis, miscellaneous, and you can click here to see samples. And if it's what you want, you would come here and download it. You don't open it. Once you download it, you would go back into Report Manager and import it right here. Find it, open it, and import it in. So that's nice, because you have some treasurers who've been on this a little longer. They may have come up with some reports. You can go in here. Okay. There's also custom report creator, which I don't like using because I'm not knowledgeable enough, but you can try it from scratch. You can try creating your own reports. I get frustrated with it, so I don't do it, and then I tell Adam to do it. Yeah, I can tweak it. Yeah, I'll tweak it, but this, I don't have the patience for it. Right. So let me show you what she means by that. So let's say new contract summary. I'm going to hit the eyeball instead of the generate icon. And see, this shows me everything that's on there, on the report. And I can go through here and add things, find what I'm looking for, and add it. I can even take away. I don't want some of this stuff on this report. Delete this off. I can put it in priority, which I want to see first. Do I want a control break? It is. Yeah, we'll do our best to help you. We say help. Under reports, there's report bundles, and these are certain things that automatically are set up for you. So when you maybe finish a payroll, it puts like a payroll CD. It puts payrolls, and I'll show you where that is in a minute. But there's also a month-end one, I believe. Month-end report, I just saw it. Reports Archive. So this more is for budgetary than payroll, but does happen in payroll. I can go in and say, when you close a month, that triggers the month-end report archives to create reports for the month-end. If you know that you're just going over, because you can initialize, if I'm in July and I have an August payroll, I can, as long as August is open, I can initialize my payroll and get started on it, put timesheets in, what have you. I can do that. But to go to post it, I have to be in that that has to be the current posting period. Okay, it has to be the current. Yeah, you weren't here. So what's nice about that is, you know, for whatever reason you're off today, Lisa, it doesn't hold up somebody as long as the month is open. You can get started on a payroll. But you need to go back and open that for whatever reason, make it current again. When you close it again, it will do another set of reports. So if you know you're going to do something like that, you know, like you're only getting over into August for her to post payroll, and you're going to go back in to try when she's done. Before you do all of that, you want to enable that so you can close, go back, and when you're ready to close permanent, you know, for sure, you go back in and check it. So you don't have two sets of reports. The downside of that is you forget to do it. Go back in and check. So 2 reports, no reports. You know, it's, yeah. Oh, you can, they can still close. This is just an automatic report bundle. You know what I mean? That happens like payroll CD. It's, you have your payroll ones that, you know how it puts individual payrolls out there. And then there's the closeout for the month or for the quarter. These are the month-end ones that automatically generate for the month. And if you know you're going to flip-flop back and you don't want to see double set of reports, this is where you could go in and do that. Yes. But we're going to wait till you go live and make sure everything's good. Yeah. Right. Just give us some time to get you. Really? I do too. I'm a creature of habit. I'm used to saving all the reports. That's totally up to you. I would continue to save them until you see what's there. Is this what you want? It might not be how you want it, so you might want to save those reports. It's all a matter of preference on that. I'm a creature of habit. I am anal. I like things a certain way, so I keep it that way. Just like payroll CD, they're saved to theirs, yeah. Right. 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 Okay. So under systems, there is configuration, and if my memory serves me, only treasurers can do this. This is where you can go in and see your Emis reporting configuration. So at the end, and you'll probably have to do it this year because we imported you. Once the final period has closed for Emis reporting, you would have to come in here and change this to 2021 because they're done. 20 is completely done. So you have to come in here and change this, okay? Get out of that one. Email configuration. No, that's not the one, I'm sorry. Email direct deposit notification. What we have to do is, even though all of you have your own domain for your district, we go in and change it to, it has to come from OME-RESA. So we'll go in and put like lisa.brzee@omresa.net. What I usually do when I do that, I'll come into this body and I'll say, if you, please do not reply to this email address. If you have questions, please email to lisa.brzee@edisonwildcats.org. I put it in the body so they can see that. Okay. But you never want to mess with this, like right in here, because this automatically pulls that payroll date for you. So what else is in here? This is where I was telling you about the employer number. I think both of you have this, how you want to increment it, how many letters, start value, and you have to check this to use them. Okay. What else is in here? Okay. STRS advance is in here. You can see if you're in the advance. You won't have the ability to modify this. If there's an issue, you have to email us. Like, you're off by a couple cents. Well, it won't take you out of the advance. If you're off, you let us know. We can wipe that out and take you out of the advance. So, and you could go through and look at what's in here. What you advanced sick leave configuration. They're the configuration of how you want these to look. Custom fields is something new. You know, on your employee screen where you had this remember I said there's stuff on the screen. It's up to you what you use them for. Payroll code, payroll amounts, payroll numbers. We can customize for you. We can if you want to keep track of BCI, FBI, you want their cell phone number on there. We can create an actual field up with the phone numbers to put cell phone numbers. We have a district who has a board hire. You know, like a board hire. When did the board hire this employee? Because it's always different from the first day of the job. We can put all kinds of labels in there, and then that will make it, when you go to run a report, you can run it on that. So that's something to think about. This is where we would go in and do it. The rest is more ITC admin privileges. This is where we go in and add your users. Adding users to the redesign is so much easier than adding them in Classic. You know, I had 3 sheets of instructions to add you into Classic. Here I go and put your name, your email address, give you your roles, and you're done. It's like 2 minutes. Utilities, this is where you come in to do your account mapping. What you have in Classic should have imported over, but you can, obviously when the new grants come in, you want to come in and put your new grants. You can delete out the old grants if you want to. You're done with them. Get rid of them. The X to remove, but always after you add a line, you want to hit save. Don't just get out. As you can see, we no longer use asterisks, we use percentage signs for a wild card. Right, I don't want to do anything there. Absence and attendance, do kiosk, right? I know you use kiosk. Do you guys use kiosk? You use SCView? Okay, well, this is where you import your, do you still have to import SCView into your Classic to run your payroll for you? So, okay, you may have to import it into here. I'm not sure how that timesheet module works from SCView into Redesign. I think we have one other district that uses it and they've never asked questions, so SCView probably know best. Okay. You don't have to do it? Perfect, perfect. So, but for you, Lisa, you browse for that report that you exported the file, find it. All these questions here match what's on your, if you go into Classic and go to it. So if you're not sure, I did it. I pulled it up on one screen and did this. Okay, I got it. When you're done, you're going to import. It will come up and it will say so many records loaded, so many with errors, how many loaded without errors, and you get an ATT error report, and it's like a blank sheet. There's nothing on it. It's an automatic. So all I ever do is I print out where it says no errors. I date it and initial it so it goes with my board distribution that I give the treasurer to sign. So there's no errors, so we're good to go. Okay. Automatic payment reconciliation. This is where you would go if you use positive pay, either to export, import nobody uses right now between you, but this is where you'd set up. Do you use it for your payroll, Lisa? This is where, if you can get us next time payroll's ran, you can get us a copy of that, I can get it set up for you. I just need to see how your columns are set up, your parameters. Do you use positive pay for export? Same thing. If you can give me a file, you don't load them up to the bank?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But, I mean,
oh no, what I mean is, you know how you export it out of Classic and you upload that file up into the bank? Okay, if you could give me a copy of that file, we'll get you set up for positive pay, because we want this to be ready so when you're ready to go live, you're ready. You're done, you're going. So the less things we can do, but the first one is for the import. When you import them, pay rec extract. You're extracting the information out of the redesign to upload up into the bank. So this is where I will set it up. You can generate a report to look at it. You can generate the extract. Okay. Passwords you don't have, because we do our password to make it safer with the data collector, the Active Directory. Custom grid creator, you won't see this. File archive, this is what you will see. This is your payroll archive, which is like your payroll CD with the files for the month and year. This is your payroll archive files. And this is where your W-2s are archived, so you can go back. Okay. Well, you don't use kiosk, right? You said, yeah, you should be able to go and pull it out and extract it. Okay. File import. No, you'll still send us, and do I have it here? When you do your ODJFS and you do your W-2s, and it goes to 1099s too. We have, and there's a link on our homepage, a web, I don't know what the right term, security, it's called Cerberus. And what you do is you'll each have your own log. It's just one login per district. It's a general one for your district. You will log in and upload your files, and then contact and say, I've uploaded my W-2. You'll give us not only your tape file, but your form file for us to print and tell us that we're printing. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Software. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so file import is more for our use. This is where Jerry is importing the payroll CDs, the old W-2s that are out on kiosk or just within your system. We have your files. He comes in here and he is uploading all of these files for you. Job scheduler, this is more used for budgetary, but you can set up a schedule to run your special education. I don't know what they could need, but they need something, a report on something. Special education employees or whoever being paid out of special ed funds. You can make it where it generates a report like the first of every month, the last day of every month, every Monday, every Tuesday morning. You know, this is a place that you could go and create, do job scheduler. Now you can see right here, this is where my email, direct deposit, I scheduled my email. So you probably won't use that. Massload is where I can, remember how I told you could do those Excel field with names with the years of experience? I don't even think treasurers have the privilege right off the bat, but we can make it so when you do that, you would come in here and you'd browse and find that file, that CSV file, okay? And we know that the years of experience is on the employee screen, and then I'd hit load, and it mass loads them all up for you. You might have an error, and I'll tell you where one common error, if you have someone whose last name is like, say, O'Brien, and you have apostrophe Brian, that will error out because of that apostrophe. But the error report will tell you who it errored out on. So at that rate, I wouldn't even mess with mass loading. I'd go to just that person's screen and modify it myself. But there are a lot of different areas that we can do mass loads on if you want to do a spreadsheet for. One of the things we can do is like say STRS, they up it to 15%. Instead of going in everybody's job, this is where we could go and update everybody's, whoever has a 591, we can update it to 15%. So this is fairly new too. Well, let me show profile, just shows the profile of the user who's logged in only. So it's myself, it's the demo, and I have administrator privileges. Tax Estimator is your tax tab. I don't know if any of you use tax tab. We had one of our districts that came on, very large district, garnishments, stuff like that. They used it a lot to see the disposable income and what have you. They finally came out with this this past March, I think, at the end of February, March, because I kept busting their chops. Oh, there it is. It did come up by first name. And if it's highlighted, you can just hit enter to keep it, find it. So, see how this is all zeros right now? If I say fill data, it would pull in all my information in here. So I'm semi-monthly, single. I can go in, and then I can change it to what I want to update it. So say I want to add Ohio. Let me add an exemption to Ohio. Calculate. When you hit calculate, it will tell you like down here what it will, current estimation will be. Since I haven't paid on myself yet in this, that's why you don't see it, but there will show eventually what it is now and what the change looks like. So you can compare what that will look like. So, or you can manually enter all that in. That's totally up to you. Last menu, account synchronization. This is where, because USAS and USPS are separate instances now, you add something, a new payroll account, new grants over here in USAS. Well, payroll doesn't know what you're doing over there. So I have to come over, and I have this as one of the first things on your payroll checklist, synchronize your accounts before you get started. That way, if you've added any new accounts, the system will pull them all over and you'll be ready to roll. Yeah. You have that drop down. If it's not there, you can't use it. So, and then that forces your payroll people to come to you. This account's not on file. Or I'm typing it in wrong. I transposed the numbers, not 4590. It's supposed to be 4590. I put 4950. So yeah, you cannot. So you see where this says submitted? That doesn't mean it's done. It just means it's submitted. You always wait till you see synchronization complete. Okay. I don't have to stay on this, just so you know. Before you do anything else, you might want to come back to it, but you don't. There it is, account synchronization completed. So you know it's good. Employer distribution, you've already ran your reports. It looks good. I'm ready to do the submission. This is where you put the same information in. You could show preview. I don't know if it's going to let me. I know it's not actually. I don't remember what date I used. Let me think. Different this time. Every payroll. Did it do it? I can't remember the payroll. So you put your pay dates in, you select show preview. It just shows the payee name, SCRS, and how much the total of that submission is. But if I want to see the breakdown, I could click on the line that shows up, and over here off to the right, it will show me the breakdown of the accounts. So, you know what I mean? Once I look at that, it's not, you can't see it that well right now, but here it says submit to USAS. Once I see the preview, I hit submit to USAS, and then it will pop up here that it's pending. It's been submitted, but it's sitting over in USAS pending. It's not posted. So when I say I posted payroll here, when I was initializing, that's your check UPD. Okay. Auto post is whatever goes over to USAS. Okay. You do the same thing for employee retirement share, the board rent. Expenditure accounts, this is very new. We'll show you all the accounts that it's reading, and it will tell you if it's been synced with USAS, which there they are. Now it's going to show all of your accounts, even your 400, 500s. That doesn't matter, but they're there. So you come in and see, you know, I ran sync. I mean, I did the synchronization, but did Lisa add that account after I did that? I could come in here and look for it to see. And it's a lot quicker to go in and look for that account than an account synchronization, because that takes a few minutes. That's okay. So, you know, in August, we do the last pay for this year. Yeah, your 902s. So if we have stopped these, what will stop those last year grants from filling up on this? If you, well, if you put a stop date on it that's prior to anything in this payroll, it won't It will say the account's inactive or not on file. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're going to put a stop date on it, you want it to be there for the August 24th payroll, then I would put August 24th as a stop date on it. If that's going to be the last pay of the grant, I'm just using that as an example. If that makes any sense. And then that way, okay. Uh-huh.
In August, those accounts will show up, or
Yeah.
so that account could be used in September
If the pay was 9/2, I see. Okay.
Right, I'm talking about that list where, like when I asked you about the
Uh-huh. And one way to double check that is come in here and off to, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there's where you can go into the individual budget account and make them inactive. Not at the cash level, which makes everything inactive. You can go into just the payroll and even the benefits, the 200s, and enable and archive those, make them inactive, I should say. And then that way your accounts are still open and the cash account's still open, but those aren't available for use. But that's a workaround. Oh, yeah. And then you make a correction, a net zero. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. All those nice net zero receipts. So here's your leave projection submission. Again, there was that leave projection report. Once you've done it, you could come over here, your start and stop dates. Are you doing all three types of leave? You see there's more. So show submission and then submit. Payroll submission. Go over here and view the details for the payroll. And it will show the different payrolls. And what have you done? Okay, so I didn't create the HCH file. I didn't create an HSA file. Well, you might not be an HSA district, so that's not going to matter. Did you ignore direct deposits on this payroll? Did you suppress the voluntary deductions? Did you generate your SCRS report? The only time that's going to be checked is if you use the link within. I never use the link within because I do my payroll in between tickets. So I don't, so mine is always unchecked. Does that mean you cannot post this? No, it doesn't mean you can't post it. Just telling you, you didn't do it this way, just so you know, I'm telling you. So, and you can see all the account codes and the amounts that were charged off for each payroll. And right now it's just saying it's imported because it was pulled in. Okay, because he refreshed our demo, Adam did. All right. And then the security and tests are ours. Okay. The other thing we have is this, we call this the employee dashboard. Okay. So I want to see everything about myself here. Okay. And here's everything, my positions, compensation, leaves, my pay distributions, payments, attendance, payroll items, and pay accounts. Here's my information. I can edit my employee screen from here. Up here, my personal leave, sick leave, vacation leave, how much money I've made, what's the applicable gross for the year-to-date, fiscal year-to-date, quarter-to-date, month-to-date. I use this like you use BioScreen when you do employees. I add the employee at the core because you have to start there. But once I do that, I come over to the dashboard. So this way I make sure I go down, positions, compensations. You know what I mean? I make sure I add everything like you did in browse screen. Okay. Good. Trying to think. If you archive an employee, you cannot pull them up in the dashboard. So if they're concealed, you can't pull them up in the dashboard. But again, I really like this. This feature is what I'm trying to say. So again, here's where you're going to see your posting period, what posting period you're in. Because there's two instances, sometimes you do think you're in USAS and you're in USPS or vice versa. You'll see up here, if you're in USAS or USPS, the district and your name. And this is where you log out. So that was a lot of information. I'm not gonna do anything more before lunch. We'll come back and we'll add an employee. We'll run through a payroll to get an idea of how that's ran. If you have any questions on anything here, it is overwhelming. It is a lot of information. Your book is very long. I just tried to put in screenshots. I'm a visual person. I need to be able to see what you're saying, you know, so I didn't want people to panic with the 225, no wait, 27, something like that, pages. I even put mine in a binder by the little tabs for each menu. But as you see, I didn't look at it when I was talking. Sorry about that. Any questions, please feel free. Is there something missing that you maybe have missed, or what you got? Okay. Here, if it's a special pay, then you would uncheck the box. You will check the box, ignore direct deposit. And it will automatically give everybody a check. Just like classic. I mean, you ignore direct deposit then. That's how you do it here. That's a good question. But if you were to put it together, you know, I mean, obviously you couldn't break it out that way. So, any other questions? You want to look at anything else? I'll show you anything. How about you, Union Local? How you guys doing? I think they are.
Kelly.
Hi,
We're doing good.
Good. Did I wake you up from your nap?
We're fine. We're fine. We just got to find the unmute button.
Okay. Is there anything you want to look at? I went too fast. I didn't explain well enough. Anything? Because we have a little bit of time to blow till our lunch gets here.
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I think like anything else, it's going to be learning by doing.
It definitely is. It definitely is. A lot of people panic because of, and this was one of my pet peeves. I didn't do payroll prior to coming to OME-RESA. I was budgetary. So learning payroll in the classic, and then you flip me right over to redesign, the change in terms. Like, why did you change deduction to payroll items? You know, they both mean the same thing. Why is a check now a disbursement? I mean, you get used to it, don't get me wrong, but when you're new, you panic, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't understand this, you know. So it's that reports are gonna probably be your most troublesome. That's where Adam comes in. He is jumped right in with that. He does a phenomenal job trying to customize reports for people. But other than that, like I said, that documentation, so, you know, let me see if I can is this? No, that's our home page. Okay, move. Okay, so let me go to, no, I must have closed it. Ah, nope, that's not it either. Help, documentation, user guide. So now that we've gone through, you're more comfortable seeing all these. Okay, so if you have a question on, this is a good one. How about new contracts? You have a question on a new contract. It will give you step-by-step instructions, like mid-year contract change. One thing we found with doing mid-year contract change, when you put the contract amount in, you put what that person would have been paid the whole year had they been at this, like they say someone went from a bachelor's to a B+, you would come in here, if they were a B+ the whole year, what is that salary? And the system knows to calculate based on their job calendar, and it will it will figure out what the obligation is for you. So, but that was something I had to read in this documentation. But if you go through, it tells you step by step how to do a mid-year contract with no retro. And it will take you step by step on, gives you screenshots, the different fields. And again, close your eyes, I don't want to make you dizzy. At the top, the different types of contracts and how you would use them. So instead of scrolling down trying to find what you're looking for, you go straight to mid-year contract, no retro. And a lot of them are like that. So, and again, a lot of those checklists are Microsoft Word. You want to export them, customize them. So this is a good, this is really good. I like this one. Because being fairly new to this ourselves, this is where we go when you put tickets in. I mean, that's where we go. And if it gets to, we think it's a possible bug, then we put in a ticket to SSDT, or if we need support saying, I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, they're pretty good about getting back to us pretty quick. So we're going to go ahead and take a break, guys. So we'll let these guys go to the restroom, and heck, we'll even let you guys at Union Local go too if you have to. Yeah. So yeah. All right.
Melissa?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
You're going to take the lunch break, is that right?
Yes. Our lunch is supposed to be here at 11:45. Probably take like a half-hour lunch, miss. Half hour or so lunch.
Okay. So we'll be back on. We'll make sure we will make sure that we are back on at 12:15. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. And even if you're a couple minutes late, don't worry. I'll make sure to ask you that you're here before I move on. Okay.
Okay. Are we the only ones remote then?
Yes. You're the only one remote.
Well, thank you so much for that option.
Oh, you're welcome. And this time we have to make that available. We can't stop doing what we're doing, but we have to be careful with everybody's health and well-being. So yeah, at 12:15, and again, I'm going to start with adding an employee and then initializing a payroll and trying to use that checklist from beginning to end. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy your lunch.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. He's our report guru, whether he likes it or not. He is good. Yeah. Yes. Yes. No, I do have it muted, but I'm sure that they have the same. I think every treasurer's office does. She can say whatever she wants. We can't. You can. Oh, the auctions page. Yes. Yeah, he could help you. It might not be exact, but he'll get you as close as possible. Yes. And actually, these reports, there's an option, you can do reports to add the option page. I don't think it used to at one time at the beginning, but we kind of, yeah, see show report options. So, you know, you might want to do that here. So when you run reports, right. And it is, yeah. And you can even save those reports, like remember your F11 to save reports? You can save reports in here as well, only for you. Like, just like Classic, Lisa can't see what you said, you can't, you know, type thing. But there are reports, that, remember how I told you can import reports if someone else wrote a report? When you import it, it's you, huh? No, it will be a report name. So let me see. I'm going to go to the report library, the public shared library. And I want to see, maybe if I click the link, I would see it. Deduction history. I go here, I click. This is just a sample. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, that's what I want. It's not, but it's, we'll say for the, I'll go here and I'll click on that. You want to download it. You never try to open it. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to get out of here, go back here, go to reports, report manager, import that report. I want to import that report. So now I've got to find it. And see, it's a JSON. That's how you know it's a report. I can, it uploaded successfully. I can change the report name to my liking. You can, the description, tags. Once it's saved, see right there, created by Melissa Crosley. But only I can see it. If I want to share it with everybody, this little group of people, I'd come over here and say I want to share it with the group manager, which is your treasurer. I'm administrator, you're a standard user, and then save. Now, if you go to log in, you would see it if you were in this instance. So it is really nice because I've written some reports, other treasurers have written reports. You know, we share a lot. So if you don't see it, we'll try to help you, or we might know another district has the same exact, we'll steal it from. We can, I mean, you actually can. I could go in and take their report and import it to you. I'd obviously ask for permission. I wouldn't just steal it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're going to start by adding an employee. I need you to slow me down if I talk too fast, because I do talk too fast. Oh, Miss Mile Minute Mouth. Okay. We're going to hit create. Now, I didn't go and look at the Social Security numbers because we're in a test account, but I'm going to skip over the number because we have it set up to automatically assign an ID number. Put in a Social Security number. Credential ID up here are for your certified employees. Okay, this isn't your classified. There's a special place for classified. Okay, I'll leave the Emis ID blank. Okay, Missy, you're my new employee. I'm not paying you much, but no, we never get paid. So you have your name, but you also have your legal name. So she goes by Missy, but her real name, I won't tell you because she'll beat me up. Okay, it's Meredith. Where you get Missy from Meredith, I don't know. But that's okay. In her, no, you don't. I just did that because I put Missy up here and Meredith down there, just to show. It should pick up your legal name. So street address, let's say, might as well live where you work, right? Yeah. It's not a foreign address, no province, no country, work phone. Some of these work phones you don't have to do. You do what's good for you. And this is where I was telling you that I could actually add a field if you want a cell phone number. Okay, so a home phone number, if it's unlisted, for primary email address, oops, not bow. Okay, no secondary. She's married. I think she's female. She doesn't have an OSDI code. She archived, obviously she's new, I'm not going to archive her. She's not eligible for retirement, sorry miss. Email her direct deposit, ODJFS reportable, and that's the box you check for a new employee. Never touch this because this says new hire reported, which means I've processed that new hire. So she's reportable. This is where if she was reportable to Emis, I would check that. You can even, there's even a field now you can add a spouse's name. That's up to you. Her birth date. Her hire date. Nope. Well, I will tell you this though. We have the same exact birthday. I told you my birthday too. Let's see. And this is where you put all the years in. I'm not going to put those in because for these purposes, I don't need to. Race, white. She's not a Hispanic or Latino. Payroll codes. If you check distribution, if you wanted to set them up for check distribution, where you want to put them. Again, these areas here, we can change things in here if you want them. Change what's exists. I don't think I can change existing actually, but I can add fields in this area. State reporting, early childhood education qualification. It's not applicable. Degree, I'll be nice, she does have a bachelor's. This is where your long-term illness goes. Here's where the non-certificate employee ID goes. Okay. Other credentials, semester hours. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, before I put names in and had Steubenville and reportable to Emis and reportable to ODJFS, I could run up here and save the template. Test. It's saved, and now it's in the drop down. Save that employee. Now, like I told you, I like once I've added the employee, I like going over to the employee dashboard. So this way I can work my way down to make sure I've filled out everything that needs to be filled out for her in order to process payroll. So I'm going to create a position. Yes. No. That book, the book that I gave you was only for this morning to go with the menus. This is just how to add a new employee. There is out on the documentation, I believe. Gotta find my. Did I close? Ugh. If you'll, and here's the SSDT link too, as well on our homepage. We have it. But if you wanted to. I believe there's a checklist for adding a new employee. At least I thought there was. Adding an employee right there under general procedures. Okay, so this is going to be position 1. She is our treasurer now. Job status is active. Pay group, just put her SERS. And you can put, these are predefined already for you, so extended service, she was hired. Stop date, no raise date. SERS, supervisor. I'll be your supervisor. She's eligible for personal leave, sick leave, and vacation. She's reportable to Emis, And then you could go in and give her her assignment. You see all the drop downs. So you don't really need F7 on a lot of these. You have drop downs to help you find what you need. So I'm just going to stop there for now. I'm not going to make you wait for all that. For assignment area, you know, golly, here's a little arrow. Some of these boxes, it's real small. That's down here, the arrows. So when you're looking for, okay, funding source, state, 100%. All right. So I have her set up in her position. And again, here's templates again that you can save. And now it's in that drop down. There you go. Next is compensation. We're going to create. This is, she only has one position now, but we'll select it and we're going to make her a contract. Okay. So the job calendar, I'll just leave it at orange. It defaulted to this because I selected black as her pay group and I associated black with orange. Halloween is why I did that, but okay. That is why I did it. Okay, so description, you could put a description in there if you want. It's not necessary. I do suggest you put one in label. And I suggest you always put the fiscal year in there. Because if you haven't had a chance to archive compensations, when you go to do attendance or anything, all these they'll show. And if you're not careful and you select an old one and you go to do the payroll initiate, it's going to say we're not paying this person, that contract's paid. So this is why I suggest you put the fiscal year in there so you can make sure you select the correct one. Compensation, she just started. Fiscal year. Oops. 21. 7 monthly, daily, and you don't fill that in. The system will do that for you. 8 hours retirement. It's not advanced. There's no days here because I haven't hit save yet. Hours of the day rate. Okay, miss, I'm going to pay you big bucks. How about 100? How about 100,000? Oh, wait, one more zero. Okay. Contract type, I'm not going to use that. There are 20 pays in our payroll. Stretch pay, I want her to have equal pays. If I had a salary schedule, I could put that information in here. Okay, what happened? I froze up. You're going to make me do this again. F5 is your key, but I mean, is your friend. Sometimes you have to hit it. So now you get to watch me do that all over again. Okay, contract. I use my tab a lot. Not everybody does that. Contract days, 4, stretch pay. Okay. Reportable to Emis. And her calendar start date, because she started this position is 8/1. Okay. When I hit save, as you can see, it calculated her per pay amount. It already pulled in her pay group automatically. I want to override, I don't want the system to change these amounts. So now I know that she's going to get 23 pays of that exact amount. Okay. Leaves, 8. 5. Daily. Max leave amount, 210. There's no accumulation. Daily. 3 per month. She's coming in with 20, so I'll go ahead and set that up for her. Reset value, max leave is going to be 5. All right. So you see how simple it is to set that up. This is your BENA. Pay distribution. Add. Deposit. Oh, it doesn't anchor. Account number. Percent. Pre-op. It's a pre-notification. Here's where you make sure it's like, oh man, I don't have PNC Bank in here. So you can save it with something else if you had to go and add it and come back instead of wasting what you've already done. There's only one for our bank. Save. And if she had another one, but she doesn't, so we'll just do save. Okay. Payments you'll bypass because this is obviously where her paychecks will be. Like in brow screen, you used to be able to see this is where you'd come to see pay stubs here. If I did any refund payments, there's a second tab there for it. Separate. I'm not going to do attendance because I'm not ready to put any, she doesn't need any attendance. Actually, she's salaried. Payroll accounts. Okay, blue line. I call that the blue line of death. It's going to be the death of me. There we go. Payroll item. Okay, so see when the wizard comes, when they do get that set up, it will. The only thing that will probably be there. I mean, you'll still see everything, but there's one that's going to make you, force you to, eventually, hopefully. That's my hope. Tax tables. She's married, and I know I should be a good girl and put uses new 4 W4, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is single, because even if you were using the new W4, if I were using the new W4, this is the only thing it still looks at. This is no longer looked at. Now this is looked at still if you want additional, obviously, but yeah. Right, right. I understand some of this W4 stuff, why they did it, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? The form isn't easy. It's not user friendly. Yes. Yeah. This is for tax purposes. All right. So I'm gonna, you're welcome. I like questions. That means you're not sleeping. So I'm going to have to go through and add all her deductions here for payroll items. Tax tables, read. Nothing, nothing there. Every pay of the month. Create. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to make her pay city. But she'll get blindsided at the end of the year. I'm not going to put in a position because I don't want, she doesn't need to have it tied to a position. Now later, at a later date, if she did start doing extra things that weren't, like, we're not going to let her pick up. She has to prove herself first this year. Yeah. Yeah, it's shut up, Jerry. So, no. And actually, we've cleaned that version up. Oh, let me tell you, he
Oh, don't
gives as
worry,
good
I
as he
give it
gets.
back.
Yes. So the 400 in most cases is your employer share. You would want to check this new employee box. She's not surcharge exempt or rehired retiree. She doesn't have a pickup, so it's not increased. And I did it wrong. Rate, when it's only rate, is employee. It will specifically say employer rate for the employer share. If I needed to make any adjustments, remember the example I used, I withheld, she has a pickup. And I withheld on 590. Down here at the bottom of all the payroll items is the error adjustment. Plain error adjustment is the employee, employer error adjustment is there. You'd hit the plus, put the amount, the description, the date's blank, unless you want it to come out, be done on a specific pay date. So if I wanted this to pull in on my next payday, I'd leave that blank. So, and then here's your month-to-date totals. But I'm not going to do an error adjustment quite yet. And good golly. Ah, I passed it. I'm not going to tie it to a position. It's a percent. You only have the option of the employees on this one for even error adjustments. And you can see you have templates on this as well, which is nice because everybody's basic 400, 590 is sort of going to be the same, you know, so that's nice. One more. Medicare. Oops. And there's my Medicare tax. See how I started to type it? Sometimes that works too. Every pay of the month. You can put start dates in here. I normally do. You do is what works best for you. Again, error adjustments. All right, so that's done. Payroll accounts for position 1. Good. Oh, I do miss the web on this one. I really do. Now, it's the only one there and it's highlighted. If I hit tab, it automatically selects it. So active, percent, 100, employer distribution, projection. There you go. Save. She's set up. So I think that went fairly quickly for setting up. I mean, obviously you'd have a little bit more because like on the employee screen and maybe insurance, a couple more payroll items. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Right. Okay, so now what you're talking about is mapping. You want to charge off the pay itself to the federal grant, but you don't want the benefits to be charged off. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so if, okay. Well, you would go to Utilities, Account Mapping, and I would tell it. Now, I don't know if these accounts are on 572, 1270, 19021. Okay. You can leave these blank if you want to, but I want this to be charged off to 170. Dagnammit. Oh, like that. And then I would save it. And then see account mapping saved. So every time it saw this account, and it actually did that wrong. It should be 211. So every time it saw the two on, like it wanted to charge off for STRS, it knows to actually put on board the board disk, the employer distribution, to actually take that and put it here. Okay. If you were doing, but you like accounts, payroll accounts, and where I was at payroll, I'd put 50%, 50%. So to use that as an example. Okay. Okay, so I've added employee. Do we have any questions about adding an employee? I think it's pretty clean, you know, and again, the documentation is phenomenal, so you can always look at that. So, all right, then we're going to move on to starting a payroll. Now I'm going to put this checklist out in our knowledge book. Once we're done today, I'll go back over and change it out to this one. Again, it's in Word document, as a Word document, because I have it as if you use current or if you use future. Did you print off what I emailed you? I sent one of these. This was one of the attachments. Yeah. So, but what I'm going to do is, so you have it in Word form, I'll put it out there because you might use future. So delete, you don't want all this current stuff there. It takes up, it's just 15 pages long. You know what I mean? But as you can see with the instructions, it says, go here, click this, click that. It's to help you, you know, get that moving. All right, so let's start our payroll. First thing we're going to do, and I still use these. I mean, I have 25 employees, but you're in between tickets or someone comes in the office, you get just interrupted. So the first thing it tells me to do is I'm going to go to sync my account. So I would go to Usps integration and I would click on this and wait for it to complete. I'm not going to take that time to watch it happen because I did show it once already and I did synchronize the accounts. Okay, did I have any updates? Did anybody change maybe their high deferred withholding, taxes or new employees, what have you? No, I didn't have any. NA, non-applicable. Process SCRS new hires. Well, yeah, I did have a new person here. So now it tells me, go to SCR, go to reports, go to SCRS new hire. Okay, there's a report title. It defaults to that, yeah, but I might want to put August, today's date, or August 2020 or something. You can do that. You can click the report to see what the report would, I mean, what you're submitting. Let's make that big. And here's the information that I will be submitting. Okay, the address, I don't see any blank, well, nothing that's important. I don't see like blank addresses. I see the birth dates, the first day's service, job classification. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm going to generate the print file. Save this. Notice it's a TXT. They do work because I just did this last week or 2 weeks ago. We had a new employee. Save. Then you're going to log into SCRS and upload that as a new enrollment. Now, just to show you, oh goodness, see, for 400, you notice her new employee is no longer checked because I reported her. And it's I created a submission file, therefore she's reported. Okay, that's done. I don't have any STRS new hires. Go past that. Page. I'm sorry, I didn't number these. I meant to. ODJFS new hire. Go to reports. ODJFS new hire. They have a ton of them in here. So let's report them all. Generator. Oh, that was the silly girl. Now report. I can highlight them all I want. And there they are. Employee number, employee name, and hire date. And then I'm going to do the submission file. Now I can technically open this, it's a CSV. We always suggest you don't, because if you go in there and put a space somewhere, it can make the tape bomb. There is a way around that though. If something should happen, you go back into their employee screen and check the box that's been reported, and it will make them show up again for you to be able to report. So now, going to see. Because you notice you could put an employee photo here too if you wanted to. Now when you look down to, where's my dates at? Or here it's, I checked reportable, but now it's been reported. So, okay, it worked. Excuse me. Okay. So posting period. Well, this is my August 20th pay. I'm in August processing. I'm good to go. Had this been my 9/5 payroll and I'm in August, I would have to go over to core posting period, or the treasurer, you would, and I'd have to make sure that September was at the very least opened for me to initialize my payroll. Doesn't have to be current, it has to be open. All right. Okay, so I went to kiosk, I went and got a file. Now I'm going to import it, browse it, find it. This isn't going to work, but import, and see I have 4 errors because it wasn't the right file. It was my STRS file, just to show you what it would look like. So when you open up that error, attendance import file is missing required fields. Okay. So check, we did that. We'll pretend that that was right. You like that one? Okay, I use future. So I'm going to do the following. If you don't use future, like I said, when you get that Excel report, you can delete all that out. Okay, but for now, I'm going to go and into future, and I'm going to enter. Because Melissa Crosley's only paid hourly, even though she works really hard. She gets salary. Okay. It already automatically pulled this up because it's my only compensation. But see that FY21? That's why I wanted you to put that in there so you could see that. Description. Overtime. It's overtime. Let's see. No. Regular. I work 3 hours. I make $50 an hour. I was waiting for Missy to laugh. I know. I know. So this one's from another demo I did the other day, so I'm going to just leave it in there. But there's where I just put that in. Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. I don't make $50 an hour. I don't want to delete it. I want to modify it. Make $100 an hour. Oh, I like that. I made $4,000 this week, and Uncle Sam's taking $3,500. Hey, you know it's the truth. So now that's the only exception I have to enter. I'm going to go process. Excuse me. Initialize my process. Okay, so 20 payroll, semi-monthly, second pay of the month. Oops. And I only want the black pay group in there. So I don't need any of those because it's not a special pay or anything. Let's see. It's a demo count. Let's see what went wrong, if anything. This is good. See the green ball down here? That's good. When you have, this grid down here will list all your pay groups. If you see a red ball, you have an error, you know exactly what pay group it's in. So that helps you narrow down any problems. So any report that goes across here obviously is your projection report. So first thing I always look at, what's my error? What did I do wrong? Future pay not included, mismatch plan. Okay, because that's why I have them on bi-weekly. Now, here's my no external ID for pay account 144. So what happened is that overtime I made, it automatically switched that object code to 144 for overtime. I don't have it on file. So see how it's not, it won't do it. No external. So watch, let's go look at this pay report. Employee name. I like to begin them on each new page. I hate when you're scrolling and it drops, right? You're in the middle of somebody's. So I always put mine on separate pages. If you only need the bottom report totals, which is your dead sum, you could just put report totals. I don't want anything else. So let's see. Control F, probably. Okay, it did add it in, but what's going to happen when I go to post, it won't post it. That's what's going to happen. It will put it on here for now, but it won't. When I post it, I'll get a bomb because that error, that report, that account is not in Usps. So this is where you take the time, stop, go to Usps, add it in, and then sync, and then do it, and you should be good to go from here. I could. What I could do, this is what I could do. I can go back to payroll. Now it's in current because I've initialized. So anything was in future, it pulled over. So I go to current. And there I am. So see where it says overtime here? Edit. I'm going to tell it the account I want it to charge off to. It's defaulting to that position's payroll account. But if it's in, like I use that, I work in a treasurer's office, but I did something for the athletic department. You don't want to create a whole new position just because I did 2 hours of work for them. This is where you could still use that position, but you could come in here and add an external, a different account to charge that overtime off. So I think, yeah, 4510. So there's one right there. I want to mount a charge. I want 100%. And over here's where I change it to percent. Yeah. So if you don't do what I just did, it will take the regular payroll account, and because you use the pay type of OT, it's how you're configured to set up what object codes to use, and it's what will pull in, unless I override it by doing what I just did. Right. So because I changed that, I'm not sure, is the pay report going to pick up on that change? Well, while I'm here in current, I'm going to check box, and I'm going to see this little button here, payroll report. It's just going to be for the person I selected on. So if you've made a change, do this to see if the system picked up the change for you, because there are some things you're going to have to modify and update that pay group. So let's see what happened. And it did. Let me make it bigger. It did change it for me. Okay. If it hadn't changed for me, what I would have to do is go into the payroll processing, and I'd say modify the payroll. And had I had a dozen or so or whatever pay groups, I would only go to the pay group that affected, only that one. Check it, update, and it updates that information for you. You don't have to do it though. I didn't have to do it because it showed up on the payroll report. It did take the change, but if it didn't, this is what you'd have to do to make sure it caught the change. Now, in a real world, you have so many pay groups that are one pay to and from, then you have another that are different. Here's where you're going to say add a pay group. And you're going to pick the pay group. You're going to say what is their start and stop date? What's their begin and end date? Simple as that. Add the pay group. Again, here's the payroll report. Again, you could do this. Again, each. No. You know how when you do a payroll, like administrator, teachers, they're current. They're current. Right. Those are like your aides and stuff who are 2 weeks in arrears. Okay. That's okay. So I ran the pay report. And this is where I go and you check everything out. Okay, yeah, I had 10 at 250. All right. Okay, everything looks good. Here's where you check your STRS and SCRS days. So I had 10 days at 8 hours a day, but then I had some overtime that gave me the extra 5 hours. So that's why I have 405 hours of retirement. It's very important that you look at this when you do your pay report because it will help you catch for reporting purposes. You haven't posted this payroll yet. You can go back and fix it. So that's one of the first things as I'm going through, that's one of the first things I look at. This, thank God everybody's salary here, so it's easier for me, but man, I wish I made that much money. Next person, 10, okay, 80 hours, okay. All right, so at the bottom, here's your report summary, your total gross. This is where it looks like you're in a cow with your total gross, your pay groups, how much is in current, how much was in future, and what's the total gross, number of employees, number of female employees, certificated employees, breaks it down by pay code, and here's your deductions. This is, like I said, your dead sum, employer total, ODJFS count 3. See, but you can run this report just this, okay? Because that's, when you do the board list that the treasurer signs off on, I don't know how every district does it. I always in the classic, I give them my InACal. I put with that. Well, I don't have an InACal per se, so that's what I take this page with that and just attach it all. So, okay. All right. So I did my future, I initiated. Now, if you did up to CalCURS is where you can add in your exceptions and current. And again, it's basically the same as future. It really is, but eventually you're going to want to cut your checklist down to whatever way you use. Okay. All right. So you've gone to the pay report, looked, everything looks good. You can go to your reports and look at your attendance journals. I don't know. See, I don't do that. You may not, you may. You add in what you want. There's the pay sum report is in there somewhere to go look at that. If you want to look at that, I don't again. We have one fund. It's really hard to mess that up. I mess up the good stuff. Okay. So we check the pay report, pay account summary. That's what amount, not account. So see, now there's a payroll for me to look at. Page break on employee. I want an employee name. I don't want a specific. Show me what the pay report looks like. And there's a pay sum right there. Building, yeah, I didn't do building. Okay. But another place you can see a lot of this without having to go outside the payroll too much. If you wanted to look like at pay accounts and everything, here, a pay account distribution report. Get bigger. So see, there's 3 of us being paid out of the treasurers, but here's that overtime that's out athletics. So I go, when I do this, I go across, I look at my pay report, my error report. Sometimes I'll look at this if I know that there's been changes, somebody changed, added someone new. You could begin each payroll item on each page. 400, where you at? And 692. Fast it right up. Okay, generate the report. So this would be your dead debt. There you go. Okay. You can review your BUD distribution. If you wanted to, your pay account distribution. And then if everything looks good, so we've done all that, payroll account, we can post, which is, this is your check UPD, which posts only to the payroll itself. Okay. So now here's all your actual reports for payroll report, payroll item, budget, distribution, pay account distribution. Here's a new button for you, unpost payroll, process payments and email notices. So let's process payments. We're gonna do the checks first. And XML. Actually, I'm gonna do in PDF since I don't have a printer. Last name. Process the payments. Do any of you process direct deposits through a printing service, or do you just plain email them? You just email them all? Okay. So here are the check stubs if I were printing them out. Okay. We only email as well, our direct deposits, but sometimes I like to have a copy of them. If anybody comes and says I need a copy, it's kind of easier for me. I do the PDF, print all direct deposits, process them, and it makes a PDF file for me. And I can easily go through and do find and print that page for them. You don't have to do that. That's just something I do. And that's what the new ones look like. So. You don't even email them? Then you don't really need to process them. You don't, because the only thing I do is this. I don't process them from XML to Edge or anybody to print, because there are some that do the print. We do strictly email, but I do that for me. She's got you there. Oh, you can put more than one email. You could put their work email first, a personal email next. Yeah, you can, there's 3, you can put up to 3 emails. Oh yeah, because we do here. They're posted in kiosks, but I also email them. So I'm done with the processing this. I'm just going to click done. Now I'm going to this is the nice thing, you can schedule emails. the email notices. You're on vacation, you get it done early. You don't want those to go out early. You can go in here, always set the time first because it will close the box if you select the date first. So it's my payroll 7/20. So people start coming in at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to make it go in at 7 o'clock the day before payday. So if they have a problem, they can email me. Send. 3 email direct deposit income notices were scheduled. So at 7 o'clock that day, they'll go out. It is. And then if somebody, like say, Missy said, oh, I gave you the wrong email address, I could come back in here and move the other 2 over and send specifically to her, if need be. Okay. So we've done that. So the SCRS per pay report, it's like I said, I'm kind of out of order and away from what you're used to because I put off posting my payables as long as possible. So if I come across a problem, I can go and unpost payroll if need be. So I'm on step number 29. So I want to sort by employee name. I want my pay date is SMO. And then you have to put your beginning and dates just like you did in Classic. So you have to highlight the payroll you are submitting for. It's a step that's missed a lot. I didn't get my tape. You didn't highlight it. So you do have to highlight the date, the pay you're doing this for. I'm going to generate the report. Now, usually and again, everybody has their own ways of doing things. Sometimes I'll run my borders report to make sure it's the same amount as, you know what I mean? Like, the borders report, so I can make sure I match. Everybody's different. Open. And that's what it would look like. Okay. Begin end date, pay dates. Voided error adjustment only. Okay. And if you did have error adjustments down here, you could add those in too. Now it looks right to me. I'm going to generate this submission file. And I'm going to save it. Okay. 31 is for STRS. It's pretty much the same thing. I don't have any STRS employees, but I will show you the STRS report. And it's very similar, with the exception of how are you paying, check or transaction, electronic, what the check number is. You have to select the payroll. You could generate the report. Then you have 2 options of how to do this. You can either create the submission file and save it, and then come back in. You can either come back in and later and choose that file, and then once you select that file, this button will darken. It will say submit upload file to STRS. Or if you're ready to do it all at once, you can generate submission file and submit to STRS in one fell swoop. Again, you can get the report first to verify that your totals and numbers are right. Now, number 33, I don't need to do for our payroll. Some people do this per pay. Do you do this, Mindy, per pay? Do you do the afford or by the quarter? So again, you can clean this up to make this what you want. And what about you, Lisa? Do you guys do per pay, per month, per quarter, the afford? Monthly, okay. So again, you can copy and paste, basically, make a monthly list over here with just this, you know. So I'm going to skip past the forward. Now I'm going to go to my reports and I'm going to do my employer distribution, or better known as Bordis, validation. So pay date 2020. My payment cycle is just every payroll. Sort option, payroll item codes, fine by me. Subtotal, that's fine too. Show me my 400s. And that's what it looks like. Okay. Now, some of these account codes, they are strange. They have IDs within this, and it's more for the software itself than us. It's a bunch of gibberish to us. So if you ever see like numbers and it says some kind of ID or something, that's why. Okay. So then I can go through and I can do all of them. Okay, that was my SCRS. You can do STRS. You can do your Medicare insurance if it's at that time of the month. Whichever, you could do it. You could do them all at once. I prefer individual because that's how I save them. So, okay. If you use BoardRet, you could go in and do that now. So, but this is if you have foundation, and you don't have foundation at Coshocton. You do, Lisa, but you don't use BoardRet. So, Union Local, do you use BoardRet?
Kelly, you have to answer that one.
Wake up, Kelly.
No.
Yeah, okay. And this is again another thing, when you customize, wipe it out. You don't use it, so you're good. So let's flip to 37. Now, obviously, your payrolls aren't going to go this fast. You're going to have a lot more. But it's not, the list itself, the checkoff list is just very detailed on what to put where. You know, you might get to a point you won't need all that. That's great. So I'm not going to go to the BoardRet again. So I did everything. It looks good. So now I can do, I can post these into Usps. So if I'm going to go to Usps, and I'm going to start with my payroll submission. I think I'm going to start with, yeah. I jumped out of, I whacked out on you there. I had you going to do the actual Bordis right after the report, and I apologize for confusing you on that. But see, now here's my payroll. I didn't do my SRS through it. I don't have HSA. I actually skipped over doing the ACH, and everything else is there. So there's the accounts I'm being charged off, how much. I'm going to submit it to Usps, and now see what it looks like. It's been sent. Eventually, it will become a message that says pending, which means it's sitting over in Usps, waiting for me to post it over there. Okay, I'm going to skip the next part where it says in Usps, because tomorrow when Missy does budgetary, my 8-5 payroll stuff is sitting there waiting to be posted live. So I'll demonstrate how to post those live one over on the other side. So now see, it changed status to pending. It's sitting over there now. I did skip over it. The ACH. Okay. So I'm not going to include. I want to convert this payroll. Employee name. That's all good. It automatically defaults to the pay date that you're working on. So we're going to generate the report. Make it bigger. And you can see this one's a pre-notification. receiving DFI, account number, the amount of direct deposit, name, and the routing, trace routing number. And this right here amount should match to the bottom of your pay report to show you the direct deposit amounts. So say you want it like this. That's it. That's all you have to do. And if I had an HSA, this is where I would go. But I don't have an HSA. But this, if I did, this would be the point of no return once I did this. I couldn't go back and unpost my payroll. But because I don't use HSA, you'll just see these start listing. I'm not going to process them, so they'll just keep sitting here listing. Next, I'm going to go to my processing of outstanding payables. Go to the tab I like, the payables by payroll item. I only want to see my every pay. Let me put them in order there so I could see. There you go. Before I do anything, I want my payroll report. I want a page break. If you simply select every payroll, it will pull in these codes. If you only, you could go in here and put them over yourself, but it's so much easier just to do that, and it pulls it over. So first you can get a summary report. Which looks like that. And it will tell you. And then you could get the full report, which is just like your pay done. Now, one of the things about this report that we've asked several times for enhancements, and they do things in order of priority. You know, if there's something that's not working, thank you. If they're doing something that's not working, they're going to work on that first. But something, what I'm getting ready to show you, isn't part of that. And it didn't work on this one. If I had insurance, it will list me twice. It will show what it paid in the first pay, then the second line of my name will show the second pay. Well, I just want to see how much did you withhold for me for the month, instead of me having to go through and add it. So we've told them on those, they need to put those together, as opposed to 2 lines for each payroll to show what was withheld. So I didn't have anything like it. I thought I did, but we want it to look like this: one line per person with the total amount that was withheld. So, but that's what your payables look like. This column here, I don't know how many people have experience with that. Edison, you probably do. Stew mill. When you work in stew mill, you either pay stew mill city taxes for employment reasons, or for resident if you're a resident. So if you don't live in Steubenville, you're still paying Steubenville taxes. If you want the policeman to come when you need them, you pay Steubenville taxes. Yes, ain't that the truth? Okay, so everything looks good. I have my reports, I've compared them, we're good to go. Now this is something very important. See this one payroll item, 400, is employer only. You want to post it anyway. It's not going to take a check or electronic number, but if you don't post it, it's just going to sit on this grid, and the next pays will be added, and the next pay will be, and then pretty soon you're going to have, then you can't find what you're looking for. So it hurts nothing to post it. So you need to make sure you post everything. Okay, so once I checked everything, I'm ready to post. It all moved over here. Now before I do this, I want to show you one of these other tabs here. Payables details. It's the same exact thing, with the exception it's very detailed as who for each one. Like Jack Lantern, his middle initials O, by the way, Jack O. Lantern, Missy Valkowski, Melissa Crosley. It shows each. I work with one, what you expect. But anyway, if you're looking for something, if you did a refund, you did an error adjustment, you want to, before you do anything, you want to check that. This is where you could go to see if the adjustment's in there or not. Okay. So there's two ways you can post this: per payee, which is if they have the same payee, they're going to collapse on one, or per payroll item configuration by code. I use per payee, so I'll leave that like that. I will tell you, it used to be, and it's not in here. In your live ones, there's a little arrow here that will break it down and tell you what code is Denmark development. And then another arrow next to it that you can turn down shows all the employees for that. So just little things. So I'm going to post them. Very important when you do this. This defaults to today's date. You have to make sure you manually change that to pay date. Okay, it defaults to my bank account. I'm an XML. It does give me the starting check number here. I don't know why it won't do it in payroll, but it does it here. So fine, post these checks for me, please. Now, give it a second. Two boxes actually pop up when you process this. One's going to be your print file, your checks XML, which I'm just going to cancel because I'm not going to print them. And then the payables payment report. I don't know, it's not going to come out like that. Let's see. Adobe's not on here. I don't know if it will open this way. But what this does is it tells you the check. Ask me later. It's going to say like the check numbers made out to SCRS for how much. Check number to your bank for your federal, how much. Adobe wasn't on here for me to open it, so I can't show it to them. But I will tell you that if you don't grab it then, open it, save it, what have you, you cannot get it later. So that's one. Those are just about everything in here. If you don't get it, you aren't going to get it. Okay, but when I went to open it, wouldn't Adobe wasn't a.
Try it again.
Okay, well I can't now. It's gone. That's one of those things. Someone's not listening to the training. Gary's our residential tech guy. I don't know what we do without him. I'm telling you, he knows so much technical. Yeah, and he's very smart, and he's picking up on the payroll and the budgetary and the fiscal stuff as well. So we're happy with him. So okay, now the last thing left to do is if it's that time of the month for you to accrue sick leave. That's the last step on page 41. And if why they have the state put SSDT put a refund of a payroll, but so you see the checklist is very long, but it's not really, because it gives you step by step where to go, what to do, what to click, your options. Now it's up to you to customize this to you. As you use this, get comfortable with it. I will always have this out on the knowledge book. So if you customize it and you save it, and it's like, I screwed that up, you can go back out and start all over again. There's going to be a copy out there. So that's really all I have for our portion. Is there anything you want to go over payroll-wise, running payroll, anything? We have, technically we're scheduled for another hour and a half. Is there anything anybody wants to go over, more information? Yeah, what can I say? That's exactly right. Classic is your authoritative system. It's never wrong, if you will. What it says in Classic is what you have to balance and match to, okay? We can make adjustments, pennies, like, and there might be some rounding issues with like anything that's a percentage-based payroll item, such as your retirement and Medicare. We can make adjustments to make sure we match what's over there. Don't let that hang you up though, because once you're off of that, this is going to become your authoritative, and you're not even going to have it anymore. Yes, I told him, that you're going to need probably, I don't know what Redesign goes by to number their checks. So that's very important that you make sure that the check numbers are the same. When you get your payroll items, the outstanding payables and you're posting them, to be careful. It might save you time in the long run. Check number 101 in Classic was to the bank for federal. Only process federal, give it check 101. Come back, you know what I mean? Do them one at a time to make sure your check number's the same. I can't do the same for you with the payroll checks for the employees, but we can help you resequence them if you need help or show you. Again, the documentation. Yeah, that's the hardest part in paralleling, I think. If you're off a penny, I'm not going to worry. If everything else matches up and you know it's a rounding issue, we can show you how to do adjustments to fix that. So you're in balance, because you want them to balance. You know what I mean? I say do it all in Classic, because if you did that, it would take you forever to get your regular payroll done. Yes. So whatever you do, if you're doing Payroll Classic and you have a stack of timesheets, now I'm in Redesign, flip them back over, let's go through again. You know what I mean? Every step you do, changing a deduction, changing an account number for direct deposit, every little thing you do. Yeah. I think smoother. Right. And just have make sure you keep all your reports, you know, like I know a lot go to the payroll CD, but maybe just in this, just while you're doing this, maybe let it print so you can on your desk. I do. I have a per pay file in one big fiscal year file. So I hear you. The other thing I would suggest is if you use positive pay for payroll, you said you didn't for payroll. I think Edison, she said you do. I would try, once you make sure the check numbers and everything are correct, doing the positive pay file in Redesign, even though it's not your authoritative system, to upload to make sure it clears right. And if there's an issue, you're covered because you have the one from Classic to take its place. You understand what I'm saying? Let's start getting the bugs out where you're doing the dual processing. Same thing with check prints, printing your checks. You don't actually need to send them, but if you can put that file through to see if they print. ACH tape files as well. You know, we need to check those to make sure they're set up right so we have time, so there is a smoother transition between one and the other. As much as you can do, the better, while you're dual processing, and then that way you're ready to hit the ground running when it comes.
From my perspective, so take those checklists, do your process, and then build CD or will be checklist for the reader. Take it, edit it, and make it your own. But use it. You know what I mean? Take your classic one, okay, set the 1 through 5. I'm sure there's steps that have changed a little bit more than for the most part, pretty much the same order.
Right.
So take that and say, okay, this is what I did in classic, now I need to read it. How do I do this exactly? And make yourself a step and edit whatever it is. Because it only helps you later. Now at least I know, take the time off the process. I did it right, I got the steps. Now when you work in the process, I at least know what I'm stepping into.
Right. Yeah.
And I'll make no suggestions because.
Yeah.
But just something that we see is, we ask that you do this 1 month and then drop the classic. We've had people who were scared to drop the classic just because they were comfortable in the old way, and they paralleled for 2 or 3 months.
And then they fell behind,
They fell behind.
way
They
behind.
got frustrated. We had crying phone calls. We had them quit phone calls. We had all kinds of my suggestion is if you balance, that's your first one. Cut the cord,
Yeah,
done.
I-
Because you're just gonna get behind and frustrated.
yeah. Yeah, you don't have time to do it twice, and this is pushing it, we know. Yeah.
Yeah, they let them run one payroll and then they make.
I want to see you balance.
I think it would be better.
Yeah.
If you can get to one.
Right.
We're halfway there. So, I mean.
Yeah. Because that's what we'll do Wednesday, once you told us that you were ready to move us to capture your files and we told you to keep track, that's what Wednesday's for. You're going to bring that work with you that you've been keeping track of, and you're going to have a laptop. We'll provide you with a laptop, or if you want to bring your own, it's probably better they bring.
I would rather
Right.
But you'll sit and you'll actually enter that work.
Yeah.
Redesign, and we'll
Right, so we'll be here one-on-one. You're not sure, we can, unfortunately, we'll wear our mask, but we're probably gonna have to be kind of close to you, looking over your shoulder at your laptops. If you're uncomfortable, we're fine with that, just tell us you're uncomfortable. Yeah, but I'm blind, so I can't be too far back, I can't see. So, but does anybody have any questions, any concerns?
Melissa,
Yes,
the only question I have is, we can see you, we can see the screen that you have up,
Yeah.
but you can't see us. So if we have questions on Wednesday, whether it be payroll or budgetary, being remote, how should we communicate that with you?
okay. Jerry, have you guys thought of how we're gonna do this as far as on Wednesday for Union Local?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, that's all right. I was asking Jerry,
Oh,
if because we had discussed this, what we might do is I'll have to maybe join a Zoom meeting separate from this laptop that's showing our screen. So that way we can view your screen, but not everybody's going to see any personal information.
okay.
So, and then we'll try to talk through the team, the WebEx. Obviously, people are going to hear you, but you'll be able to hear all of them too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's fine.
Yeah, and we're not recording that though too. Wednesdays. Not to be-
Okay, so Wednesday's just a work session, but there will be a way that you'll be able to see our screens too, if we have issues.
Okay, did you hear what he said?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna let him repeat it again.
I was just saying that on Wednesday, I already sent you a link to a training, to a Zoom meeting.
Right.
It should be just you guys on that meeting on Wednesday. If there happens to be someone else on there, then I'll give you a different link the day of.
Okay.
And then that way we'll treat it just like now, but we won't have that Zoom meeting up on our screens here. It'll just be on the computer. No one else will be able to see it but us.
Okay, that sounds good. Just as long as I know I have that, I have that communication with you.
Oh yeah,
Oh, you do.
absolutely.
You do.
Okay,
And
great,
like you said,
great.
And I don't
Okay.
know, did you hear when I was mentioning about trying to print in ACH tapes and such, testing them while you're dual processing?
I believe.
Okay,
Kelly?
just making sure.
Kelly, did you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I heard what she was saying.
beautiful.
Okay, she and I are in different, she's in her office, I'm in my office. That's why I keep saying Kelly.
Wake up, Kelly, wake up. So, all right. So is there anything else anybody wants to know or needs? to
Hear
discuss?
what she was saying.
What you got, Jean?
Yeah, my speakers are kind of going in and out.
Sorry. Okay, I'm getting a question, so wait 1 second, Janet, okay? Go ahead.
Okay.
Right, and that can happen. Because it's weird when it seems like That's one thing I don't understand, and I'm sure there's an explanation. I'm just not tech savvy. It doesn't always put them in the same order. But so that's why you have to be very careful. So when you go into, I'm going to take payroll again. Let me go back over here. Now I can only speak. Now since I posted, it's not in progress anymore. I got to go to posted. Go to my details. When I process the payments here and I did checks, you just have to make sure that the way you selected them to be ran in Classic is the same as you select here. So they're in the same order. Right, so last name, if you do employee last name, they should print out the same. Can there be, because of the, like you said, the O'Briens or the McDonald's or whatever, it's a possibility. So you have to be very careful. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. Yes, there is a chance. So knowing that though going in is half the battle. You know you have issues with O'Brien's and McConnell's because of that capital M, little c, capital C, or O'Brien with the apostrophe. You know that. So those are the first ones you can, look at. And then, like I said, you could print reports and go through to check them. So, and we can help you. It's very easy to resequence. If it's one in the middle, sometimes you have the one, like say O'Brien's after McDonald. So McDonald needs O'Brien's number. Well, you can't change it to that because it's already being used. So you would renumber O'Brien to like a big number out there, 99999, to free up the number for McDonald. Then you'd go to McDonald, renumber it, and then put O'Brien back. You'd have to do O'Brien twice because of that. But yeah. Yeah. See why we don't want you to pair it all too long? Because that becomes a pain in the patoot. It really does. So, but this is, you just want to make sure you select the same sort option here. Okay. I'm sorry, Janet, did you have a question? Because someone else started to ask a question.
No, you answered mine. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, well, Missy, did you hand out the evaluation forms? Okay, does everybody did they ever get their evaluation form? You did print it? Okay. There were some, Missy took them, I don't know what she did with them. Union Local, if you could please fill out your evaluation forms and scan and email them back to us, or you can wait till after Wednesday and do each day. We would truly appreciate that.
Sure, we will do that.
Okay.